Chapter 205. Grandpa is Grandpa, I'm just a junior. It really has nothing to do with me. Xiao Xiao, I've never thought of harming Yanran and I've always been very good to you. Don't you remember that at all? I've been thinking about you for the past 2 years when you weren't around. There were many people chasing after me, but I've always been waiting for you to come back. Today, I've finally waited for you. Xiao Xiao, did you choose to do your first lecture tour at Northern University because I was here? After Yi Xuanfei asked this, the anticipation in her heart increased. She always thought about herself and she firmly believed that Xiao Xiao still had her in his heart. Was their meeting at Northern University really arranged by Xiao Xiao? When Xiao Xiao heard Yi Xuanfei's confession, he only had one thought. F***ck, she's even more narcissistic than me. However, he didn't say anything and just looked at Yi Xuanfei with a complicated gaze. There was a kind of love, a kind of pity and a kind of missed opportunity in his eyes. Xiao Xiao was impressed by his own acting skills. It was a pity that he didn't go into acting. After a while, Xiao Xiao turned around and didn't say anything. He pulled Jing Shu and left without looking back. When he reached the entrance of the hall, he suddenly turned around and raised the gun with his left hand, aiming at Yi Xuanfei. He blinked his left eye and raised his hand. Then, he blew at the muzzle of the gun and smiled evilly. Then, he sent a flying kiss with his right hand. Yi Xuanfei was so shocked by Xiao Xiao's actions that she couldn't regain her senses. She fell onto a chair in the hall. What did Xiao Xiao mean by this? The more Xiao Xiao rejected her, the more Yi Xuanfei's fighting spirit ignited. How could she let someone catch up with such an outstanding boy so easily? Now that Xiao Xiao was still at Northern University, she still had a chance. Yi Xuanfei walked out of the hall and saw a few students from the student union tidying up the venue. She called out to one of her usual suitors and easily found out the hotel Xiao Xiao and the others were staying at with just a wink. When she returned to the dormitory, she found her sexiest outfit, put on a perfect seductive makeup, and wrapped herself in a coat. Under the cover of the night, she came to the door of the Xiao Xiao Hotel. Xiao Xiao saw the sexy and seductive Yi Xuanfei through the peephole and sneered in his heart. She really came. The moment he opened the door, he pretended to be surprised, but then his eyes turned cold. What are you doing here? Yi Xuanfei didn't miss the glint in Xiao Xiao's eyes. She was secretly happy. It seemed like Xiao Xiao still had feelings for her. I have something to tell you. We haven't finished talking about this afternoon. Xiao Xiao blocked the door and refused to let her in. I have nothing to say to you. Yi Xuanfei went forward and placed her hands on Xiao Xiao's shoulders, wanting to hook them around his neck. Xiao Xiao pretended to step back and the door opened. Yi Xuanfei took the opportunity to barge in. This was the first step. She had finally entered the door. Xiao Xiao ignored her and walked to the sofa to sit down. She poured a glass of red wine and tapped her 2 long legs to taste it slowly. Yi Xuanfei followed behind. She walked to the back of the sofa and wanted to lean over Xiao Xiao's shoulders. Xiao Xiao immediately stopped her and threw her onto the sofa. In this enclosed environment, Yi Xuanfei became bolder. She took off her coat and sat in a sexy position in front of Xiao Xiao. As the saying went, men were visual creatures. But the demon crown prince was different. If it was Yanran, he would have pounced on her. But at this moment, Yi Xuanfei made him feel disgusted. He suppressed the discomfort in his chest and said to her coldly, "What are you trying to say?" Yi Xuanfei also poured a glass of red wine for herself. She took a sip and said to Xiao Xiao, "What I said this afternoon was true. I don't know anything about Yanran. Xiao Xiao, can you not blame me for the grievances of the elders?" Yi Xuanfei pouted, as if the whole world was bullying a weak little girl like her. Xiao Xiao turned the red wine in his hand and considered his words carefully. Why did the spiritual power in Yanran disappear? Who did it? Yi Xuanfei's heart skipped a beat. She thought quickly and immediately said, "It was Hua Gang." I only found out about this later. It turned out that Hua Gang and Grandpa had colluded. They wanted to take over the aristocratic families of the South. That's why everything happened. When I found out, I also had a big fight with Grandpa. Yenran and I are good friends. How could we hurt Yenran because of this? Qiao Xiao sneered in his heart. She was really good at twisting the truth. Yi Xuanfei continued, their competition is just like the competition in the business world. The business world is like a battlefield. The aristocratic families of the East want to get more territory, so Grandpa used such an extreme method. But no matter what, history is on the side of the winner. After a business competition, there must be a winner. Qiao Xiao, can you also consider the principle of choosing a good tree to live in? Yenran is just an ordinary person now. If you like her and want to be with her, then you'll just be an ordinary person in the future. But look at you. You're shining brightly. You're a natural king. You need a strong backing behind you. At this moment, I'm willing to be your strong backing. Even the aristocratic families of the East can be at your disposal in the future. You're the master of the world. You only have to do one thing, and that is to live as you wish and accept my love for you at the same time. Yi Xuanfei said sincerely. After saying the last sentence, she leaned forward slightly. Her eyes seemed to have countless hooks, exposing her cleavage to Qiao Xiao. Qiao Xiao didn't say anything after hearing this. Yi Xuanfei continued to increase her weight. Grandpa hopes that you can join the aristocratic families of the East. You'll be second only to one person. At the same time, you'll have a noble gold card with unlimited withdrawals. You can use it however you want. The conditions are quite tempting. Qiao Xiao finally said something. Think about it. Yi Xuanfei's voice became more and more seductive. Her slender hands were about to touch Qiao Xiao's knees. Qiao Xiao moved his legs slightly and dodged Yi Xuanfei's wolf claws. He leaned forward and looked into her eyes. Then what do you think? What should Yenran do? Yi Xuanfei didn't expect Qiao Xiao to ask this question. Yenran didn't have a place in her plan. She bit her lip and said to Qiao Xiao, she can be your secret lover, but your woman on the surface must be me. Qiao Xiao cursed in his heart. The conditions were really tempting. Ordinary people probably wouldn't be able to resist. It's a pity that it's wasted on you, the demon crown prince. Qiao Xiao finally pretended to smile and said to Yi Xuanfei, you're very beautiful today. Yi Xuanfei's heart throbbed when she saw the godlike face praise her. She took a sip of red wine and took out the gold card. She pushed it to Qiao Xiao and sat down beside him. She brushed her hair and a burst of artificial perfume drifted into Qiao Xiao's nose. Qiao Xiao held his breath and stood up. He walked to the door and opened it. He gestured for her to leave. I'll think about it. Yi Xuanfei smiled. She wasn't in a hurry. She picked up the coat on the sofa and walked to the door. She suddenly turned around and pressed herself against Qiao Xiao. She hooked her arms around his neck and kissed him on the lips. Then she blew a kiss and waved her hand before walking out of the room. Qiao Xiao closed the door. The first thing he did was to go to the bathroom and wash his lips. He came to the sofa and put away the gold card. He smiled mysteriously. Qiao Xiao and his team left the next day. Yi Xuanfei looked calm last night, but she was nervous. Qiao Xiao's distant gaze made her lose all confidence. Her conditions were tempting, but they were the last resort. She didn't know how to get back Qiao Xiao. When would the intimacy between them return? Yi Xuanfei even felt that she had become one of Qiao Xiao's many fans. She still had to wait for a few more months before she could go to school with Qiao Xiao. She had to become a different person. Qiao Xiao and his team's helmets were a hit. They quickly became popular in various schools. The gaming experience of the helmets was much better than that of Jiutian technology. Furthermore, the price was cheaper. Qiao Xiao and his team even promoted the helmets to the professional teams in the gaming industry and gave them away for free. The quality of the product was excellent and immediately recognized by the gaming industry. There were even people who recognized Qiao Xiao. He was the king of fast hand speed. He was the god they worshipped. They spared no effort in promoting his products. Compared to Star Sky Company, who received a lot of orders, Jiutian technology was gloomy. The sales manager had pulled out all his hair in the past few days. President Ming, all the customers who ordered the helmets during this period have all applied for a refund. We didn't deliver the goods and they were all refunded. Even the original channel said that they had to go to Star Sky to get the goods. We may not be able to cooperate in the future. The finance manager said in pain. President Ming, the bank has urged us to pay in advance several times. Otherwise, they will apply for the enforcement of our building. The purchasing manager was even more confused. The factory is working overtime and can already deliver the goods. They are urging us to pay the remaining 20%. Ming Tian's face could no longer be described as black. He was shocked by this sudden blow and couldn't recover. How could this be? What did the customers who asked for a refund say? They all said that the quality of our helmets is too inferior. It's worse than Star Sky's. The key point is that it's especially expensive. Their price is almost half of ours. Why haven't I heard of this Star Sky before? It's a new company. Its background is Nanchuan University. The spokesperson is Chao Xiao. Why is it him again? Why is he everywhere? President Ming, the people from the bank came again. The security guard hurriedly ran in. It seems that they also brought 2 people from the court. Ming Tian's head was splitting. He didn't even have time to move the funds. He pressed his temple and slowly walked out of the conference room. You go deal with it first. I'll be there in a while. After saying that, he took out his mobile phone and dialed Yi Lao's number. Yi Lao, I have something to apologize to you. I also need your help. Chapter 206. Help my ass. This kind of technology is so new and you're still investing in it? Are you out of your mind? You couldn't even handle the yogurt company and now you've created such a huge hole in the helmet. You don't need to be the general manager anymore. Old Master Yi was so angry that he slammed the phone on the ground. He looked at the sky outside the window. His superiors had been pressing for funds from overseas casinos. He originally thought that Huagang would be able to help him get more casinos in the south, but he didn't expect that he would be arrested. Now that there was no suitable successor, he could only think of a way to solve some problems in the east. He didn't expect Ming Tian to create such a huge hole and he still had to think of a way to help him pay off the bank loan. This was the first time old Master Yi felt a lack of funds. During this time, Chao Xiao had been flying all over the country. Although he talked to Yen Ran on the phone or video called her every day, it was never as refreshing as meeting her in person. Finally, after another lecture tour, he and the other students in the laboratory had to go back to school to take the final exam. Yi Xuanfei had been keeping a close eye on Chao Xiao during this period. She sent him endless messages every day. Chao Xiao usually ignored them, but he would occasionally reply 1 or 2, mainly asking about the Dongfang family. Yi Xuanfei could clearly feel that Chao Xiao was still very interested in the Dongfang family. This made her very happy. Finally, there was something that Chao Xiao cared about. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming often said to Chao Xiao, if you want to find the antidote for the spiritual transformation pill, you must infiltrate the Dongfang family. It must be hidden somewhere. After the 100th time, Chao Xiao was finally brainwashed. He sent Yi Xuanfei a message, I want to visit the Dongfang family during the summer vacation. Yi Xuanfei didn't expect Chao Xiao to really consider it. She was so happy that she spun around 3 times. If he was willing to go, it meant that she would have a chance to be alone with him. Also, did this count as meeting his parents? Yi Xuanfei suddenly felt a little nervous. Would Grandpa dislike Chao Xiao? Would he disagree if she brought someone home? And after Yi Xuanfei told her grandfather about it, she didn't expect her grandfather to agree immediately. She wanted to use the Dongfang family's background to move him. Just like that, the 2 of them agreed to find a time to come to Huanghai City after Chao Zhao's summer break. When Yen Ran came home today, she found that the atmosphere was different. First of all, there was an extra pair of shoes on the shoe rack. Secondly, there was laughter in the living room. The loudest one was Yen Guo. She didn't know what she was happy about, but she was jumping up and down in the living room. Her parents were at home, chatting with someone. The gift boxes were piled high on the coffee table in the living room, blocking the view of everyone in the living room. Yenran changed her shoes, put down her school bag, and walked into the living room to take a look. Her face was a little red, because a pair of bright and handsome eyes had been looking at her, and the love and longing in his eyes were overflowing. "You're back. You're back," the two of them said at the same time. Then, they saw Xiao Xiao immediately stand up. The corners of his mouth curled up, revealing his perfect 8 teeth. He went up and took Yenron's hand. He squeezed Yenron's little hand hard and winked at her. He looked upstairs. Yenran immediately understood this way of greeting. He wanted her to bring him upstairs. "Yenran, look, Xiao Xiao just got off the plane and came to see us. He even brought so many gifts." Papa Yen looked at the two of them with a smile. This pair of golden boy and jade girl was really pleasing to the eye. "Sister, look, the latest helmet. Brother Xiao Xiao gave me one. It can't be bought outside now." Yen Guo hurriedly went up to Yenran to show off her precious gift. Mama Yen also said, "Xiao Xiao is too polite. He gave me such an expensive bracelet. I'm too embarrassed to accept it." Mama Yen showed off the bracelet on her wrist, and her eyes curved into crescents. Yenran turned to look at Xiao Xiao. "Why are you so polite?" Xiao Xiao grinned. "It's my first official visit. I hope to leave a good impression on Uncle and Auntie. I'm telling Uncle and Auntie interesting things about me during this time. They like to hear it. Xiao Xiao is a big star now. You can see his photos everywhere. Last time, I told the neighbors that I was Yenron's classmate. They were so envious." Papa Yen couldn't close his mouth. "Uncle, next time you can just tell them that I'm Yenron's boyfriend and make them even more envious." Xiao Xiao's words made the whole family laugh. Yenron's face was completely red from laughing. She said to her parents, "Xiao Xiao is here for something. I'll take him upstairs first. Go. Remember to stay at home for dinner. Don't go out the window again." Yenran and Xiao Xiao stopped in their tracks. They looked at each other and hurried upstairs, afraid that Mama Yen would say something shocking again. As soon as the two left, Papa Yen and Mama Yen went to the kitchen to prepare dinner. Yen Guo couldn't wait to test his new helmet in front of the computer. He must fight 300 rounds today. As soon as Yen Guo turned on the computer in the study, he heard Yenron's door being slammed. The sound was very loud. Then he felt the sound of someone hitting the door. Yen Guo felt strange. He ran upstairs and began to knock on the door. "Sister, Brother Qiao, what are you doing? Why does it seem like something was hit?" Then he heard Yenron's voice. It was a little strange. "I'm fine. Your brother Qiao accidentally hit something." Yen Guo listened for a long time. When there was no more sound, he ran downstairs again and continued his unfinished game. Yenran and Xiao Xiao were behind the door. Yenran was pressed against the door and kissed by Xiao Xiao. Yenran couldn't resist at all. Xiao Xiao was like a hungry wolf that had been starved for 3 months. He wanted to tear Yenran apart and eat her. The fiery kiss was overwhelming. Yenran couldn't resist at all. Xiao Xiao raised her hands and pressed them to the side of her head. Xiao Xiao's stunning face was magnified in front of her eyes. His sexy thin lips and fresh breath invaded Yenron's peach-like mouth. Xiao Xiao was satisfied. He finally kissed the little mouth that he had dreamed of for months. His Yenran was still the best. She was as sweet as a peach. He couldn't get enough of her. Neither of them noticed that the sound of the door closing was a little loud. However, it also reflected Xiao Xiao's eagerness. The two were getting more and more immersed. Xiao Xiao's hands slid to Yenron's snake-like waist. Yenran also forgot about her feelings and hugged Xiao Xiao's neck. But at this moment, Yen Guo's voice came from outside the door. Xiao Xiao didn't give in this time. How could he get rid of the yearning of the past few months so easily? He pressed Yenron's slender waist with all his might. At this moment, Yenran was even more anxious because of Yen Guo's knocking on the door. Yanran replied to Yen Guo in a hoarse voice. Hearing the sound of Yen Guo coming down the stairs, Qiao Xiao made a comeback. His heart that had been dried up for a long time finally found its source. The tired bird that had not returned home for a long time finally returned to its nest. Everything at home was so beautiful. There was no framework to restrain him and no one to disturb him. Everything could blossom freely in this small space. It was inevitable that he would lose his soul and lose control of himself. The rules that Yanran set for Qiao Xiao a few months ago were like a gust of wind that had been blown to the sky and disappeared without a trace. Everything was logical and natural. Just before dinner, Yanran's slender and perfect neck became the main battlefield of Qiao Xiao's attack. Yanran gasped for breath. Her sensitive skin throbbed into her heart and exploded like flowers. She wanted to push him away, but her two hands were not under the control of her brain. Anyway, they pressed Qiao Xiao's hairy head even tighter. Qiao Xiao was not the only one who missed her. She also missed Qiao Xiao very much. In the middle of the night, from time to time, Qiao Xiao's coquettish appearance floated in her mind. Sometimes, she would think of Qiao Xiao's soul-stirring kiss. Sometimes, she would blush and cover herself in the quilt. Sometimes, she would sit up and cultivate so that her mind could be clear again. People in love were like this. Even a strand of hair on the other party's head was good. Even a related object was filled with love. A living person was right in front of him. What else could be better than kissing to express his love? Yanran let go of the knot in her heart. In this enclosed space, she devoted herself wholeheartedly and passionately responded. She also wanted to pass on her love to this man who loved her. Qiao Xiao was surprised by Yanran's initiative. What followed was ecstasy. His Yanran was finally enlightened. His happy life was right in front of him. As his movements became wilder and wilder, Yanran finally couldn't take it anymore and let out a moan. Qiao Xiao panted and lifted his head from Yanran's neck. Opening his misty peach blossom eyes, he asked hoarsely, "Yanran, did I hurt you?" Yanran's face had already turned crimson. She buried her head in Qiao Xiao's arms and murmured, "No, I like it." When Qiao Xiao heard this, he really received a huge encouragement. The whole sky became clear. He happily picked up Yanran and spun in circles on the spot. "Yanran, I'll make you like me even more in the future." Yanran looked at this bright and beautiful young man. Love surged in her heart. She hugged him back. "Tell me about what happened during this period of time." The two sat by the bed. Qiao Xiao reported his experiences in the past few months. Most importantly, he told Yanran about his success in Jiutian technology. After that, he half squatted in front of Yanran, as if he was wagging his tail. His expression was full of praise. After Yanran heard this, her heart trembled. She didn't expect Qiao Xiao to be so busy with her matters. How could this cute demon crown prince be so nice? Qiao Xiao hesitated whether he should tell Yanran about Yi Xuanfei. He wanted to say it, but he was afraid that Yanran would worry. Just as he was hesitating, he heard Yanran's mama's voice from downstairs. "Time to eat." But it was this hesitation that caused a big misunderstanding later. The Demon Crown Prince also had times when he miscalculated. Chapter 207. Yi Xuanfei looked forward to the stars and the moon, and finally, the summer vacation arrived. She returned home early and instructed the servants to clean all the rooms until there was not a speck of dust. She especially prepared a guest room for Qiao Xiao. Although Qiao Xiao might not necessarily stay at home, what if? Qiao Xiao and Yanran's intimate relationship finally came to a halt. Qiao Xiao still did not tell Yanran the truth. After all, it seemed that he could not explain the matter of going to Huanghai City to Yanran. Yanran thought that he was going to go on a nationwide lecture tour again, so she did not pay much attention to it. After all, summer vacation was a good time. He might not necessarily go to university, but he might go to some other business event. The helmets were selling very well now, and they had the first market share. Jiutian Technology's gaming helmets were not completely out of the market, but they were struggling at death's door. They had no choice but to lower the price to half of the Star Sky helmet. There were also some people who reluctantly accepted the slightly lower quality helmets because of the lower price. Yenran was going to do an internship this summer according to the school's arrangement. She and a few of her roommates looked for a few banks and started from the most basic business. She was also very busy, so busy that she did not even have time to send Xiao Xiao off. Xiao Xiao went to Huanghai City alone this time. Thinking back to what happened in Huanghai City a few years ago, he could not help but sigh in his heart. 3 years ago, he was not able to protect himself, but now, he was no longer afraid. The Eastern aristocratic family, the aristocratic family that harmed Yenron's family, the demon crown prince was coming to meet you. The plane streaked across the sky, and the loud roar woke Xiao Xiao from his sleep. He touched the totem hanging on his chest. A few days ago, he found an excuse to get it from Yenran. At that time, Yenran stared at him for a long time. His eyes kept drifting, so he could only say that he was studying a formation and wanted to take the totem back to experiment. Yenran did not say anything, she only warned him not to do anything bad. Xiao Xiao nodded and hugged Yenran, assuring her that he wouldn't do anything bad. If Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming hadn't told him to bring the totem with him when he went to the Eastern aristocratic families, he wouldn't have made Yenran unhappy. Although Yenron's meridians were blocked, after this period of time, the spiritual power brought by the totem had shown signs of improvement. Moreover, Yenron's spiritual power had reached a new level. Xiao Xiao sometimes felt that Yenran had learned how to read his mind. She could see through all his thoughts. He sighed. Even without spiritual power, his Yenran was still the most powerful. The plane landed with a roar. He took off his eye mask, put on his sunglasses, picked up a simple backpack and got off the plane first. At the exit, just as he had expected, Yi Xuanfei was dressed to the nines and attracted the attention of many men. When she saw him coming out, she waved her hand excitedly. As she raised her arm, her flat stomach was exposed from the hem of her clothes. The little stars on her navel ring shone brightly and some people even whistled at her. The man who saw Yi Xuanfei waving was a man comparable to a male model. He was tall and had long legs. His hands were in his trouser pockets and he wore a pair of sunglasses. He had broad shoulders and narrow buttocks and his walking posture was very good. Yi Xuanfei was about to go up to him when 4 or 5 girls suddenly rushed up and shouted excitedly at the male model, "Xiao Xiao, Xiao Xiao." Xiao Xiao was stunned. He didn't expect to be recognized by fans here. The corners of his mouth instantly cracked into a smile and he waved at the fans. Then Yi Xuanfei heard the girls excitedly covering their mouths and screaming in a low voice. He smiled at us, he waved at us. When Xiao Xiao walked up to them, one of the girls blushed and asked boldly, "Xiao Xiao, can we take a picture together?" Xiao Xiao didn't refuse. Okay. Then he opened his arms and the 4 or 5 girls stood in front of him. This action made it seem as if he was hugging them from behind. One of the girls took out her phone and took a picture of their encounter at this moment. The other girl also boldly asked, "Xiao Xiao, can you give me an autograph?" After saying that, she respectfully handed over a pen. "Where do you want to sign?" A few of the girls took out their notebooks and Xiao Xiao signed his name with a flourish. Another girl didn't bring her notebooks. She directly grabbed her t-shirt and said to Xiao Xiao, "Sign here, sign here." Xiao Xiao signed his name on her shirt. These girls happily said goodbye to him and then it was Yi Xuanfei's turn. Yi Xuanfei was originally a princess. When had she ever been pushed aside like this? But this wasn't the first time this had happened to Xiao Xiao. She could only suppress her displeasure and smile as she walked towards Xiao Xiao. A big star is indeed different. You can even meet fans at the airport. Xiao Xiao smiled faintly and didn't say anything. "Let's go." With that said, he strode out with his long legs and led the way out. And Yi Xuanfei hurriedly followed behind him. Xiao Xiao walked very quickly. In the end, she had to jog all the way to catch up. She finally couldn't take it anymore and grabbed onto Xiao Xiao, acting coquettishly. "Brother Xiao, wait for me for a while. Look at my high heels." She pouted and refused to leave. Qiao Xiao took off his sunglasses and leaned closer to Yi Xuanfei, whispering in her ear, "Do you want me to carry you?" Yi Xuanfei couldn't believe what she had heard. Qiao Xiao was flirting with her. Qiao Xiao was finally flirting with her. Before she could reply, Qiao Xiao had already turned around. He put on his sunglasses and walked forward at his original speed. Yi Xuanfei panicked. She couldn't care less about the pain in her feet. She took off her high heels and jogged out after him. The chauffeur was already waiting outside. It was a luxurious Rolls-Royce. The chauffeur was dressed in a well-ironed uniform and stood beside the car door like a soldier. Seeing the male model coming out of the airport exit and the young lady trotting all the way with a pair of shoes, he couldn't help but widen his eyes. However, as a veteran of the Eastern aristocratic family for many years, there were some things that he couldn't guess at will. But now he had a clear idea that the young lady was begging this handsome young master who angered both the gods and men. "Brother Qiao, I've arranged a place for you to stay. Can you stay at my house?" After getting into the car, Yi Xuanfei immediately moved to Qiao Zhao's side. She raised her head and blinked her starry eyes, trying to please him. "I'll stay at a hotel. I'll go to your house tomorrow morning," Qiao Xiao said directly. "Then can I accompany you?" Yi Xuanfei asked carefully. Qiao Xiao lowered his head and looked at her for 2 seconds. His voice suddenly became numb. "What do you want?" Yi Xuanfei mustered up her courage and said, "I want to kiss you." Qiao Xiao felt a chill run down his spine. But he smiled wickedly. "My fans all want to kiss me. Do you think I'll let them get what they want?" After speaking, he licked his lips and his pink tongue slid across his lips. Yi Xuanfei was dumbfounded. She was stunned for a few seconds. Then she threw herself into Qiao Zhao's arms and hugged his waist tightly. She pressed her body against Qiao Zhao's chest. Qiao Xiao wanted to push her away but couldn't. He looked at the chauffeur in front and patted Yi Xuanfei's shoulder. Okay, get up. There are people in front." Yi Xuanfei quickly got up and closed the partition in front of her. Then, she leaned against Qiao Zhao's body. Qiao Zhao's waist was slender and strong. His shoulders were broad and firm. His chest was smooth and bouncy. It was summer and Qiao Xiao was only wearing a t-shirt. Yi Xuanfei could clearly feel the muscles on Qiao Zhao's body. She didn't do anything else and just closed her eyes in satisfaction. Qiao Xiao clenched his fists but he forced himself to release them. He comforted himself in his heart that this was just an act. It would be over after a while. But after a while, he couldn't take it anymore. Yi Xuanfei didn't move her head but her delicate hands were secretly moving up and down Qiao Zhao's body. Qiao Xiao pushed her away and warned, "You're too much." Yi Xuanfei seemed to have tested Qiao Zhao's bottom line. She continued to act coquettishly beside him but didn't dare to move her hands. Qiao Xiao quickly sat at the side and found a topic to talk about. "What are your plans for the next few days?" "I'll be back in 3 days." Yi Xuanfei saw that Qiao Xiao was starting to talk about serious matters and didn't continue to act coquettishly. "Grandfather will treat you to a meal tomorrow. I'll take you to visit some of our companies. We also have a huge library at home. I've mentioned it to you before. There are many treasured books inside. You'll definitely like them. We also have a weapons warehouse and an elixir warehouse. I'm not sure if you'll like them. If you want to take a look, I'll take you there secretly." "Oh, why do you have an elixir warehouse?" Qiao Xiao finally heard the main point. "Our Eastern aristocratic family mainly focuses on formations and elixirs. Our ancestors were very famous alchemists and formation masters." "Qiao Xiao, I heard that you're at a very high level now. When did you learn it? Did you have a fortuitous encounter in the Yin-Yang formation?" You can say that. My level is average. It's not very high." Yi Xuanfei rolled her eyes and used her right hand to cast a spell. An invisible rope immediately flew towards Qiao Xiao. Qiao Zhao's reaction was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he had already activated his own demonic aura and directly swallowed the rope back. Yi Xuanfei was tied up by the rope and lay down on the chair. Yi Xuanfei looked at Xiao Xiao in disbelief. He could even undo the Zixuan's power so easily. Yi Xuanfei was ecstatic. Only a man like this was worthy of her. She continued to look at Xiao Xiao coquettishly and said to him coquettishly, "Hurry up and untie me." Xiao Xiao moved his fingers and tied her up so that she sat up. Then he smiled wickedly and said, "In view of your previous behavior, you'd better stay put for a while." Yi Xuanfei panicked and kept saying coquettishly. In the end, she even called him good brother. Xiao Xiao didn't know how to be gentle with a woman at all. He only knew how to listen to the music in the car. His fingers tapped the rhythm gently and he closed his eyes to rest. Looking at Xiao Xiao, who closed his eyes and ignored her, Yi Xuanfei loved and hated him at the same time. Even if he tied her up, she couldn't hate him at all. After using this method, Yi Xuanfei finally settled down. When they arrived at the hotel Xiao Xiao booked, he opened the car door and blew a kiss at Yi Xuanfei. Then he turned and left. Yi Xuanfei struggled continuously, but it was useless. Only when Xiao Xiao was far away did the rope on Yi Xuanfei's body untie. Looking at Xiao Xiao's back view, Yi Xuanfei's eyes were filled with tears. She just couldn't do anything to him. In a relationship, the one who gave more was destined to be at a disadvantage. Chapter 208. The next morning, Yi Xuanfei was already waiting for Xiao Xiao in the hotel lobby. She was dressed in a bohemian style today. Her large earrings swayed gently on her shoulders and a light yellow hairband tied her hair up. The deep eyeshadow made her large eyes look even deeper. Her red lips were dazzling and the long bohemian dress outlined her perfect waistline. The little blue stars were like the finishing touch, becoming the golden section point. She ordered a cup of coffee and sat in the lobby, constantly looking at the people entering and exiting the elevator. From time to time, there were people who wanted to strike up a conversation with her, but her indifferent attitude made them leave in disappointment. The moment Xiao Xiao stepped out of the elevator, he saw Yi Xuanfei in such a mature state. His eyes couldn't help but flash past Yanran's elegant and refined face. Yanran never put on heavy makeup. At most, she would only put on a little bit of makeup. She always put on a little lip gloss on her peach-colored lips, making people want to kiss her. But in Xiao Xiao's eyes, Yi Xuanfei was like an exquisite piece of art that had been deliberately carved. The traces of artificiality were too obvious and she had long lost her original charm. Just like raw sashimi, the original taste was the most delicious. Xiao Xiao shook his head slightly. It was a pity that he could only look at her from afar and not touch her. It was a crime to destroy a piece of art. Yi Xuanfei was completely unaware of Xiao Xiao's thoughts. The admiring gazes of the people around her had already let her know that her outfit today was very successful. She happily went up to Xiao Xiao and tilted her head slightly, asking him coquettishly, "Did you sleep well last night? Did you miss me?" Xiao Xiao avoided the question and said, "The bed is quite comfortable, accompany me for breakfast." Yi Xuanfei naturally wanted to hook her arm around Xiao Xiao's arm, but Xiao Xiao turned his body and strode towards the restaurant. Yi Xuanfei had already eaten. She ordered a cup of coffee for breakfast and sat opposite Xiao Xiao, watching him enjoy it to his heart's content. Xiao Xiao was already used to people looking at him. Yi Xuanfei's gaze didn't affect his appetite at all. He ate very quickly and often stuffed his mouth full. Yi Xuanfei was about to go crazy when she saw this adorable side of Xiao Xiao. She held a napkin in her hand and kept wiping the food from the corners of Xiao Xiao's mouth. She even fed Xiao Xiao a drink from time to time while he ate, nagging him to eat slowly and not choke. The doting smile on her face didn't fade away. At the same time, Yi Xuanfei also noticed a strange phenomenon. Recently, the little star on her belly button would constantly emit a faint light whenever she got close to Xiao Xiao. In fact, Xiao Xiao also noticed this. The totem on his chest would faintly vibrate. Xiao Xiao knew that this was the attraction between the male and female totems. He patted his chest comfortingly. He couldn't let the cat out of the bag. After the two finished their breakfast, Yi Xuanfei said that today's plan was to bring him to visit the company and then return home for dinner. Today's company was Jiu Tian Entertainment. Qiao Xiao heard that Yi Xuanfei was quite honest. She really brought him to visit the most profitable company under their banner. He could also see how the other entertainment companies operated. It might be helpful for his starry sky. Jiu Tian Entertainment was located in the non-main bustling area of Huanghai City. It was a 16-story building. The glass walls shone brightly, and from the top of the building hung 4 large blue words: Jiu Tian Entertainment. Before Qiao Xiao even got close, he could already feel a simple and vigorous aura lingering around the building. The totem on his chest began to vibrate slightly. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming said to Qiao Xiao through the bracelet, "There's a formation. Be careful." Qiao Xiao carefully observed the building. The building's shape was very modern and luxurious. The triangular roof was very conspicuous among the other buildings. Qiao Xiao suddenly understood. The shape of the whole building was an array that gathered the spiritual power of the sky. The building was like a black hole with a strong suction force, and the triangular roof was facing the tall building diagonally opposite. The extension of the sharp corner was like a sharp blade that pierced straight into the building. After getting out of the car, Yi Xuanfei finally held Qiao Xiao's arm and smiled at him. "This is the most profitable company of our Eastern aristocratic family. Many celebrities were made famous by us. The annual income is several hundred million." Qiao Xiao gave a rare praise. "Very good." Yi Xuanfei's smile widened. She was very proud of herself. The two of them walked to the door. Ming Tian had already received the news that eldest Miss was coming for an inspection today. He had already led everyone to wait at the door. When he saw eldest Miss, he immediately went to greet her. When he saw the person eldest Miss was holding, he almost spat out blood. How could it be his competitor? Jaluo's matter had already made him feel regretful, and the helmet was simply making him want to vomit blood. Looking at the endorsement advertisement of Star Sky Helmet, that handsome and ruffian spokesperson had become a permanent pain in his heart. And now, what did he see? The most honorable eldest Miss of the Eastern aristocratic family was actually holding his arm intimately. She had a flattering smile on her face. One look and he could tell that she was a silly girl who had fallen in love. Before he could greet them, the paparazzi who had been waiting at the door of Jiuqin Technology rushed up and took photos of Qiao Xiao and Yi Xuanfei. These paparazzi were delighted to find that they had actually taken photos of a big melon today. They knew that eldest Miss Yi was a princess with a high status, but the key was who was the person she was holding on to? Wasn't that Qiao Xiao, who had recently become popular all over the country? Could this be the relationship that was about to be announced? A reporter had already rushed up and asked Qiao Xiao excitedly, "Qiao Xiao, hello, I'm a reporter from Lianhua. May I ask what is your relationship with Miss Yi?" Qiao Xiao didn't expect to be photographed by a reporter. His first reaction was to not let Yan Ran see it. He took Yi Xuanfei's hand out of his arm, then winked playfully at the reporter and revealed a big smile. "If I say that she is my fan, would you believe me?" Another reporter also quickly asked, "Just a fan relationship? Then why was she holding your arm just now?" Teeth grinding. The reporters were indeed sharp-tongued. "You'll have to ask Miss Yi about this. Maybe she was afraid that I would fall." After that, he ignored the reporters and strode into the building alone. Yi Xuanfei was stunned. This Qiao Xiao didn't give her any face at all. If they could announce their relationship, wouldn't that be a good thing? She simply stopped the reporters and said to them, "Qiao Xiao is shy. We are just at the development stage." Wow. When the reporters heard that the woman had actually taken the initiative to admit it, they immediately became more interested. They didn't chase after Qiao Xiao anymore and threw all the questions to Yi Xuanfei. "May I ask how you two met? May I ask how long you two have known each other?" This time, Qiao Xiao came to Huanghai City. "Are you going to meet his parents?" Yi Xuanfei lowered her head shyly and was about to answer when she heard Qiao Xiao call out from afar. "Yi Xuanfei, if you don't come over, I'm leaving." General Manager Ming Tian spat out a mouthful of blood. This was the first time he had seen someone who dared to speak to their miss like this. Yi Xuanfei panicked when she heard Xiao Xiao call out to her. She quickly said to the reporters, "Let's chat another day." Then, she jogged all the way in. The reporters looked at each other and nodded in unison. This was obviously a woman chasing a man and she hadn't caught him yet. Yi Xuanfei ran in front of Xiao Xiao and wanted to hold his arm again. However, Xiao Xiao moved aside and dodged. Yi Xuanfei clenched her fists and said coquettishly, "Those reporters asked me a few small questions. Sorry to keep you waiting. Think of a way to make them not post this on the internet." Xiao Xiao said coldly. Yi Xuanfei was a little confused and pouted. "Why? You didn't say anything just now. Didn't you say that the Eastern aristocratic family is very powerful? You can't even handle such a small matter?" Xiao Xiao narrowed his eyes and looked at Yi Xuanfei dangerously. Yi Xuanfei gritted her teeth and stomped her feet. She turned around and said to Ming Tian, "Go and tell those reporters that we will buy this news." Ming Tian and the other executives' eyes were about to fall out. Yes, I will do it right away." "Alright, are you happy now? Let's go up." This time, Yi Xuanfei held on to Xiao Xiao's arm. Xiao Xiao didn't avoid her. Then, Yi Xuanfei led Xiao Xiao and the group of executives followed behind, touring the various floors. Ming Tian could only suppress the unhappiness in his heart and introduce each floor to Xiao Xiao with a smile. Just as they passed by the third floor, a person walked past the corridor. Xiao Xiao recognized him at a glance. This person was the Lan Xian expert who had attacked him last time. It seemed that the Eastern aristocratic family had planted cultivators in his company. No wonder Zhouqian Entertainment could do so well in the industry. It was probably because of these crooked methods. When they reached the 15th floor, Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming in the bracelet shouted, "Xiao Xiao, be careful. There are all cultivators here." Xiao Xiao was extremely careful. The totem on his chest also began to vibrate. Not only were there cultivators here, but there were also formations. There weren't many people on the floor because there was a conference room and a huge auditorium. But these people all had purple auras above their heads. They were all Zixuan experts. However, from their appearance, some of them had lustful gazes, some of them were more vicious, and one could tell at a glance that they weren't good people. There were also a few who looked relatively righteous. There was a small porcelain bottle filled with pills on each person's table. Xiao Xiao suddenly realized that the Eastern aristocratic families mainly focused on alchemy and arranging arrays. Since they were able to refine good dawn that could improve the cultivation of cultivators, then they must also be able to refine some poisons, such as the spirit-transforming dan. If Yanran knew that the cultivation world that she had protected so wholeheartedly had been corrupted to this extent, she would probably be heartbroken. Xiao Xiao just looked at them and didn't say anything. Yi Xuanfei saw that Xiao Xiao's pressure was getting lower and lower. She stared at Ming Tian. Ming Tian kept breaking out in cold sweat. He didn't know what was wrong. He could only brace himself and say, "Eldest miss, do you think we should go to the conference room and have some fruits to rest?" Chapter 209. The group of people sat in the conference room. The conference room was very big and was divided into two circles. The middle circle could seat nearly 30 people while the outer circle could seat nearly 60 people. Everyone had a microphone and charger in front of their seats. The whole room was spacious and bright. The electric curtains had been opened and the street view of Huanghai City could be seen. At this time, all kinds of fruits and tea had already been prepared on the table. Yi Xuanfei peeled a lychee and placed it in front of Xiao Xiao's mouth. Xiao Xiao didn't stand on ceremony and ate it directly. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming in the bracelet suddenly reminded Xiao Xiao, "You have to be careful. The Eastern aristocratic families mainly research pills. Be careful that they mix bad ingredients in the food." Xiao Xiao thought about it and agreed. The lychee in his mouth seemed to have turned bitter immediately. He spat it out and took a napkin to wipe his hands and mouth carefully. Yi Xuanfei looked at him strangely. "What's wrong? Is the lychee not delicious?" It's too sweet. I don't like it. Yi Xuanfei peeled another grape for him. Then try this one. This time, Xiao Xiao didn't take it and said directly, "Eat it yourself. I'm not hungry." Yi Xuanfei thought about how Xiao Xiao ate a lot for breakfast and might not be hungry now. She didn't force him. Then, Yi Xuanfei instructed Ming Tian to introduce the situation of Jiutian Entertainment. Ming Tian thought that this was really an inspection by the higher-ups. Was it appropriate to report the company's core secrets directly to a competitor? But he didn't have the guts to ask, so he could only explain the situation on the surface. Xiao Xiao was more interested in this area. He listened to Ming Tian's report and compared it to Starry Sky's management. He found some good points. He asked one or two questions from time to time. Ming Tian heard that they were all management methods of the company. He looked at Yi Xuanfei's warning gaze and could only tell her in detail, such as how to deal with the internet crisis, how to create a topic for an artist, etc. This discussion lasted for 2 hours. In the end, Xiao Xiao finally said a word of praise to Yi Xuanfei. Jiutian Entertainment's management was not bad. Seeing that Xiao Xiao was satisfied, Yi Xuanfei nodded at Ming Tian. In the afternoon, Yi Xuanfei had already arranged for another high-end hotel and was prepared to have lunch with Xiao Xiao alone. But Xiao Xiao proposed to eat in their cafeteria to experience the food of Jiutian Entertainment. Yi Xuanfei wanted to object, but Xiao Xiao looked at her affectionately and she immediately surrendered. Hence, Yi Xuanfei and Xiao Xiao also carried their plates and went to the cafeteria with the other employees. This was Xiao Zhao's idea. If Yi Xuanfei tampered with the food, he wouldn't be able to take it. It was better to eat with everyone. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming laughed in the bracelet. Don't be so nervous. If there are pills in the food, we should be able to feel a kind of ancient aura. When the time comes, we'll just remind you. In the cafeteria, the two of them attracted a lot of attention. Someone even pushed through the crowd and walked in front of Xiao Xiao. He said in surprise, "Xiao Xiao, hello. I didn't expect to see you here." Xiao Xiao looked up and recognized him. It was Jialuo. He also smiled. The two of them got to know each other because of the audition. Xiao Xiao had a good impression of him. Naturally, Jialuo sat down and ate with them. Jialuo only cared about chatting excitedly with Xiao Xiao and didn't notice that Yi Xuanfei's eyes were spitting fire. It wasn't until Yi Xuanfei reminded Jialuo again that he had an event in the afternoon that he reacted. "Am I disturbing you?" Xiao Xiao smiled and said, "Not at all." Yi Xuanfei said, "Sorry to disturb you." Jialuo scratched his head and smiled foolishly. "Eldest miss, Xiao Xiao has a girlfriend. She's his treasure." Yi Xuanfei saw that he had touched a sore spot and really wanted to twist Jialuo's head off. After that, Jialuo also realized that he seemed to have said something wrong. The young lady's fiery expression finally ignited him. Like a rocket launcher, he instantly shot out and left their table, disappearing in front of the two of them. Xiao Xiao didn't think much of it. Jialuo was right. He had nothing to hide. What did Yi Xuanfei think have to do with him? At this moment, someone came to call Yi Xuanfei away. After a while, Xiao Xiao saw a Zixuan expert walking towards him. "Hello, Mr. Xiao. Miss Yi has arranged a lounge for you at noon. It's on the top floor. Please come with me." This person brought Xiao Xiao to a room on the top floor. Xiao Xiao thought that he would see a hotel's presidential suite with a huge carved bed, a leather sofa, a floor-to-ceiling TV, a wine rack, and so on. He didn't expect that when he pushed open the door, he would see a martial arts arena that was close to 100 square meters. There was obviously a layer of array around the dance arena. Before Xiao Xiao could ask, the Zixuan expert closed the door. At the same time, two people walked out from another small door. Their eyes were sinister. They cupped their fists and said to him, "Young Master Xiao, we want to spar with you." So they were waiting here. The moment the Zixuan expert appeared, Xiao Zhao's nerves were already tense. On the surface, he was here to test the Eastern aristocratic family. However, the Eastern aristocratic family was also taking this opportunity to test him. Xiao Xiao sneered. Is this how you treat your guests? Sorry, young Master Chow. We are just following orders. The three of them didn't waste any more time and directly attacked Chow Shao. The strength of the three Zishuan experts couldn't be underestimated. The air in the martial arts arena instantly distorted. However, Chow Shao was no longer a persimmon that could be pinched. He awakened the guard to form a seal and covered his body with an invisible protective shield. Looking at the three people who were rushing over, he didn't hold back. He directly used his two hands to attack. His long arms and fists were like propellers as he swung them at the three people. After all, the three of them were Zishuan experts. After being hit twice, they knew how powerful his fists were. They rolled on the ground and attacked Chow Zhao's lower body. However, as they fought, they realized that there was an invisible shield around Chow Zhao's body. Their fists were all blocked outside, and Chow Shao himself was unharmed. The more they fought, the more energetic he became. At this time, Yi Xuanfei and Old Master Yi were sitting in the room next door and watching the situation in the martial arts arena. Yi Xuanfei was extremely nervous. She couldn't help but complain to her grandfather. Grandfather, no matter how powerful Chow Shao is, he should be able to deal with one Zishuan. Why did you find three people to fight him? What if they hurt him? Xuanfei, as the saying goes, girls are more outgoing. Why are you so outgoing when you are not married yet? Yi Xuanfei's face turned red. Grandfather, I am just stating facts. Don't change the topic. I think Chow Zhao's martial arts are not bad. These three Zishuans might not be able to do anything to him. Old Master Yi looked at the situation in the martial arts arena excitedly. It was a rare occasion. One person could actually defeat three Zishuans. He was at least in the higher void stage. Yi Xuanfei's eyes were filled with admiration. The light in her eyes almost lit up the entire room. She clenched her fists and kept pacing back and forth. Of course, Chow Shao is the most powerful. But I heard that you didn't get along very well with him these 2 days. What kind of feelings does he have for you? When Yi Xuanfei heard her grandfather ask about this, she could only tell the truth. Chow Shao should have a good impression of her now, but he hasn't fully accepted her yet. After all, she had been with Yanran for a long time. It might not be so easy for him to accept her in such a short time. Yanran is nothing to be afraid of. For someone as outstanding as him, only a cultivator like you can be on par with him. As long as he proves that he is outstanding enough, we must make him loyal to the Eastern aristocratic family. At that time, you will be his only choice. But his heart is with Chow Shao. How can we make him loyal to us? Xuanfei, have you forgotten? Our cultivators will take pills regularly. Although it is only a pill to increase their spiritual power, as their strength increases, they will want to become stronger. Only I can give them this hope. Do you think they will take the initiative to submit and rely on me? Moreover, this pill has a psychedelic effect. It will make them willingly submit to me. Chapter 210. After a while, Chow Shao decided to stop. He found a chair and sat down, leaning lazily against the back of the chair. His legs were wide apart, and he stretched his arms to loosen the tension in his muscles. Looking at Chow Zhao's comfortable expression, the only purple profound expert who was still standing cowered, not daring to step forward. His originally arrogant expression had now turned into one of worship, looking at a height that he could never reach. Go, get me a glass of water. Chow Shao crossed his legs and ordered casually. That Zishuan was like an obedient puppet. As long as he didn't get beaten up again, he would do anything. He quickly went to the water dispenser to get a glass of water and respectfully handed it to Chow Shao. Young Master Chow, please. Chow Shao narrowed his eyes and drank the water in small sips. Then, he ordered someone to call Yi Xuanfei over. The purple profound expert was stunned. How could the young miss be so easily ordered around? But he didn't dare to hesitate and immediately ran out of the door. When Yi Xuanfei heard Chow Zhao's call, she immediately flapped her wings happily like a butterfly. She wagged her tail and flew in front of Chow Chow. She half squatted beside his legs and placed her hands on his knees. She raised her head and looked at him with her beautiful big eyes. "Brother Chow, you're so amazing. I admire you so much." Chow Chow suddenly bent down, his thick eyelashes spread in front of Yi Xuanfei's eyes. The two of them were very close. Yi Xuanfei could feel the fresh heat from Chow Zhao's thin lips. She heard Chow Zhao's seductive voice ring in her ear. "Is this how you treat your guests? It seems like you don't love me enough." After saying that, Chow Zhao stuck out his tongue and licked the corner of Yi Xuanfei's lips. Then, he immediately stopped and leaned back in his chair. He was sneering, indifferent, and condescending. Yi Xuanfei was instantly petrified. Her pretty face turned red at a visible speed. At this moment, Chow Zhao heard Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming talking. "Damn, this guy's flirting skills are off the charts." She hurriedly apologized to Chow Zhao. "I'm sorry, Brother Chow. This is Grandpa's idea. I just found out about it too. I wanted to come in and stop them but I couldn't. I'm sorry. Yi Xuanfei apologized as she buried her face in Chow Zhao's knees. "Humph." Chow Zhao snorted coldly. "I think I'd better leave. Your Eastern aristocratic family doesn't welcome me at all. Furthermore, your strength is only a—" "Chow Zhao, it's not like that. Yi Xuanfei is a little anxious. We're very strong. These people are only average in terms of strength. We still have other areas that are very powerful. I'll take you to see them tomorrow." Chow Zhao ignored her. He stood up and walked out with his long legs. Yi Xuanfei was anxious. She hurriedly followed behind and hugged Chow Zhao from behind. "Brother Chow, I beg you. Don't be angry. Don't leave. It's all my fault. I'll agree to anything you want." Chow Zhao pried her hands away and turned to look at Yi Xuanfei. "Based on your performance today, you don't have to accompany me in the afternoon. I'm going back to the hotel. Come and pick me up when it's time for dinner." Kong Xiaoming praised Chow Zhao's acting skills in the bracelet. "He's at the level of an award-winning actor. Look at how he seduced Yi Xuanfei's soul." Kong Ming also commented. "A carrot and a stick. Chow Zhao, you didn't learn 99 moves to chase girls for nothing. This Yi Xuanfei seems to be dead set on you. Why don't you take her in as well?" Chow Zhao rolled his eyes. "Are you too mistaken? She's Yanran's sworn enemy. Have you forgotten why we're here? Besides, how is she better than Yanran? Other than my appearance, what else does she like about me?" "Shallow." Yi Xuanfei looked at Chow Zhao bitterly as he returned to the hotel. When he reached the door of the presidential suite, Chow Zhao slammed the door shut. The hard door almost hurt Yi Xuanfei's nose. She was immediately shut out. Yi Xuanfei rubbed her nose and tears welled up in her eyes. But when she thought of how Chow Zhao's soft tongue had brushed against her lips, it was the first time he had taken the initiative to get close to her. The tears in her eyes were replaced by sweetness. She could only say from outside the door, "I'll be right next door. Call me if you need anything." Then, Yi Xuanfei booked a room next to Chow Zhao's room and waited to bring him home for dinner. About 10 days before Chow Zhao went to Huanghai City, Yanran and a few of her roommates found an asset management company for an internship. Everyone was assigned to a different department. Yanran was directly assigned to the credit approval department. This was the middle of the company and was the department responsible for loan approval. Dan Yao and Bai Shui were assigned to the front desk as account managers. The few of them experienced the front, middle and back of the company. Yanran helped write reports every day. This was an important step for her to turn the knowledge she learned from books into practice. She studied very seriously and studied until very late every day. The person in charge of her was a big sister in her 40s. She was very kind to her and often joked with her. "Yanran, don't work too late. You're only in your 3rd year now. You can still play for 2 more years. When you graduate and have a real job, you'll have to work so hard. Life is still long. You should use your best years to date. You can't waste your youth. Sister Hua, I think these materials look very interesting. I want to look through all the cases. It will be very helpful for my future work and studies. What a good child. If I was as motivated as you when I was young, I would be at least a vice president now. Remember not to work too late at night. Then, Sister Hua walked out of the office and Yenran was the only one left in the building. Yenran's beautiful eyes stared at the computer and kept taking notes. All the cases were recorded on the computer, including investigation reports, approval opinions, survival management reports, and so on. Although most of the cases were relatively similar, each company that came to get a loan was different. Yenran felt that it was very interesting. She had never come into contact with different industries before. The books described it simply, but when she actually looked at the basic information of each company, financial statements, audit reports, and all kinds of supporting materials provided for the loan application, she felt that it was all very fresh. Yenran was like a sponge, constantly absorbing and integrating. She picked out all the companies in the same industry, put them together, and made a comparison chart. In the process of unraveling, she gradually found the rules of each industry. Then, she studied the core competitiveness of each company. What was the main product? What was the position in the industry? What kind of competitive advantage did it have? Did the business performance in the past few years increase or decrease? What was the authenticity of the report? Yenran also found that the reports provided to the company seemed to have a lot of differences with the size of the company, the number of employees, and even the flow of funds. She heard from the professor in school that many companies would whitewash their reports to get loans from the bank. Now that she saw it with her own eyes, she knew that it was true. But couldn't the inspectors see it? She also asked Sister Hua this question. Sister Hua said to her, "All companies will whitewash their reports, but you have to see the essence from the report. As long as the company's final source of repayment is not a problem, the company can continue to operate and have the money to repay your loan. It is easy to judge whether the report is true or not." Yenran didn't really understand. In fact, to really figure out whether a company could repay the loan, it still depended on its core competitiveness and the profitability in the next few years. In addition, the country's policy, the industry's wind, the management style of the company's main person in charge, all of which fascinated Yenran. Of course, it was definitely not enough to just look at the materials on paper. Yenran's internship time was not long. She really wanted to go to the company with Sister Hua and see the scene when she was free. Only by seeing with her own eyes and hearing with her own ears could she turn the words and data on paper into a living image. And the real image would be reflected in the written materials. After mutual verification, Yenran could rest assured. She was especially concerned about some of the rejected cases. These rejected cases were the efforts of other inspectors. They must have found some risk points to avoid the risk of loan loss. She studied these materials tirelessly and didn't even notice that it was getting late. It was almost 11 o'clock. The security guard came to patrol at night and saw Yenran working overtime alone. He had a good impression of this little girl. He kindly reminded her, "Yenran, hurry up and go back. It's inconvenient for a girl to walk at night." Yenran raised her head from a pile of materials. It was indeed very late. She packed up and was about to go back. Just as she turned off the light and was about to leave, she suddenly saw a person rushing in from outside the door. This person was in the office next door. He was also in charge of credit approval. He was about to go forward and say hello, but he saw the person quickly walk into the office and close the door quickly. He didn't turn on the light and just stayed inside. Yenran was very strange, but she didn't want to be nosy, so she went home directly. A few days later, when she went to work again, Sister Hua, who smiled at her every day, suddenly seemed to be a different person. Her face was haggard, and her eyes were listless. She sat at the desk and cried very sadly. Yenran wanted to ask what happened, but she didn't say anything at all. After a while, she heard people talking in private. "I heard that something happened to the company. The legal representative of a loan of 1 billion yuan has been lost. Now the company is investigating." They want to find out who reviewed the project at that time. I know. That project was reviewed by the person in the office next door. I couldn't get in touch with him 2 days ago. I heard that he was on vacation, but I couldn't get in touch with him. Then why is Sister Hua crying? I heard that she also went to the scene of the case once, but coincidentally that day, she was an agent. Another colleague was on vacation and temporarily replaced her. This project was not under her review, but now that something has happened, the company will be held accountable. Yenran heard them talking about the person in the office next door. Wasn't that the person she saw that night? Could it be that he knew that something had happened and ran away in advance? Yenran was a little concerned. This was a major incident in the company, but after all, it didn't have much to do with an intern like her. She couldn't say anything. Looking at Sister Hua crying sadly, the only thing she could do now was to take out the case and review it again. Chapter 211. It was a private pharmaceutical company that had taken a loan of 1 billion yuan from the asset management company Yenran was interning at. The loan period was 2 years. The asset management company had taken over the receivables of a Class 3 Grade A hospital from the pharmaceutical company. The pharmaceutical company would use the funds obtained from the transfer to supplement its working capital. When the loan was due, the Class 3 Grade A hospital would repay the receivables according to the contract. If the Class 3 Grade A hospital could not repay the receivables, the pharmaceutical company would fulfill its obligation to buy back the receivables. Yenran looked at it carefully. From the design of the transaction structure and the information on the surface, there did not seem to be any big problems. The credit of Class 3 Grade A hospitals was generally very good. There had never been a case of a Class 3 Grade A hospital breaching the contract. The only problem now was whether the receivables were real. At present, the pharmaceutical distribution industry was an industry where drugs or medical equipment were purchased from upstream pharmaceutical manufacturers, and then wholesale to downstream terminal hospitals. In the middle, there was an important part of the link between upstream pharmaceutical manufacturers and downstream terminal hospitals, pharmaceutical companies. And this private pharmaceutical company was the link between the upstream and the downstream. Yenran further analyzed the entire industry. She looked up a lot of information on the internet and found that with the acceleration of the new medical reform and the improvement of the people's living standards, the pharmaceutical distribution industry in the country was growing rapidly. It was much faster than the world's average growth rate during the same period. According to the regional distribution of pharmaceutical distribution companies, they could be divided into national distribution companies and regional distribution companies. This private pharmaceutical company was obviously a regional distribution company. The current policy of the country was to encourage the pharmaceutical distribution. Companies could become stronger and bigger through mergers and acquisitions, listing for financing, issuing bonds, and other ways to accelerate the realization of large-scale intensive and modern management. The country also had a goal of cultivating a group of large-scale pharmaceutical distribution companies that had a network covering the whole country and a high degree of intensification and informatization. Yenran came to a conclusion that the country was encouraging and supporting to promote the increase of market concentration. As for the pharmaceutical industry, with the acceleration of the national economic development and the acceleration of the aging process, the pharmaceutical distribution market had a bright future. The sales of drugs were mainly through hospitals and other terminal sales. It seemed that this business was a very prosperous business at the national policy level and within the pharmaceutical industry. Yenran found another special thing. The pharmaceutical distribution system was implemented with the 2 invoices system. That is, when a drug is sold from a manufacturing enterprise to a distribution enterprise, an invoice will be issued, and when the distribution enterprise sells it to a medical institution, another invoice will be issued. This is an important policy to be implemented in the drug distribution chain nationwide. The implementation of the 2 invoice system can reduce the drug distribution chain, reduce the number of invoices and money laundering, and eventually gradually reduce the drug price. It seemed that the supervision of the industry was quite strict. At present, 80% of the drug sales in the country were completed through the 2-vote system through medical institutions. After the 2-vote system was implemented, pharmaceutical agents had to change the base price to a higher one. This private pharmaceutical company had a registered capital of nearly 500 million yuan, and its business scope was mainly engaged in the pharmaceutical wholesale and distribution business. In the investigation report, the main shareholder and actual controller of the company were also mentioned. In the past few years of its establishment, the company's main business model was to purchase drugs from mid to upstream pharmaceutical manufacturers and sell drugs to downstream hospital distributors and pharmacies to earn the difference in sales. According to the investigation report and the review report, this pharmaceutical company rented a warehouse of about 10,000 square meters and had 20 dedicated drug distribution vehicles to deliver drugs to all parts of the region. In the local region, this pharmaceutical company was in a leading position among the pharmaceutical wholesalers. According to the on-site investigation by the examiner, the pharmaceutical warehouse of this company was a rented ordinary warehouse that was later modified. It had a total of 4 floors. During the on-site inspection, the temperature in the warehouse was below 20 degrees Celsius, and there was a temperature monitoring device. At that time, there were about 15 dedicated drug distribution vehicles in front of the warehouse, and 2 of them were cold chain distribution vehicles. The examiner did not describe the situation of the drugs in the cold storage in detail in the report, but said that the warehouse's system and the national regulatory system were connected. The entry and exit of drugs in and out of the warehouse had to be recorded in the national regulatory system, and the electronic monitoring of drugs had been achieved. Therefore, the examiner's conclusion was that the value of the drugs in the warehouse was estimated to be about 100 million yuan. Yanran had 2 questions here. First, how was the value of the drugs estimated to be about 100 million yuan? Second, if the examiner did not enter the cold storage, how was he sure that there were a lot of drugs in it? The main downstream of the private hospital was a comprehensive public tertiary grade A hospital. The financial statements of the tertiary grade A hospital showed that the quality of the assets was good, and the debts were mainly to pay for the drugs. There were no fixed debts, and the scale of the revenue was relatively large. The medical surplus was increasing year by year, and the solvency was strong. The last paragraph of the investigation report analyzed the evaluation of the use of funds and the scale of the financing, as well as the evaluation of the actual controller's guarantee ability. It was only a vague mention, but it was also a very obvious point of doubt. The impact of this incident on the entire asset management company was also very big. The industry regulatory authorities even immediately came to the company to investigate, and the company set up a task force. As an intern, Yanran was an idle person. When everyone was very busy, she became the assistant of the task force. Yanran raised her head from the file. She saw that Sister Hua was no longer in her seat. She went out to look for her and found that Sister Hua was in the pantry getting water. Her eyes were dull, and the teacup under the kettle had already been filled, and the water was still flowing out. Yanran quickly went up and turned off the switch for Sister Hua. She comforted her and said, "Sister Hua, don't worry. We will think of another way." When Sister Hua saw Yanran's firm and cold eyes, she seemed to have found someone to talk to. Her eyes were filled with tears, and she hugged Yanran and cried. Yanran didn't say anything. She just patted Sister Hua's back and comforted her. At this time, Sister Hua was not in the mood to work at all. She pulled Yanran to a small conference room and sat down. She opened her mouth and said, "Yanran, don't you think I'm unlucky? This matter originally had nothing to do with me. It was just that one day, the damn person next door had something to do at the last minute and asked me to go and sign a contract. I thought, these things had already been reviewed, so I went to help do the interview. What could possibly happen? What could have happened? You know the result." That day, the 2 people were very aggressive. We asked to check our ID and work cards, but the 2 people's faces were black the whole time. It was as if we owed them something. It wasn't easy for them to show us their ID, but they impatiently took it back. At that time, I wanted to record it, but the 2 people didn't let me record it at all. I have never been so aggrieved. Later, I called the person next door. He told me that the medical industry was like this. Everyone begged them. The people in this hospital must be the best. Every day, countless people came to ask for their help. It was good enough that they could receive them. I had no choice but to come back. But at that time, I still kept an eye out. After I came back, I went to the review committee and told them that this matter was a little strange. But I didn't expect that for some reason, those people in the review committee actually gave him the money in the end. Yenran was even more confused. Didn't the review committee say that they would go to the scene again to verify it? Later, I heard that they went again. It seemed that they had adopted an alternative plan. They took some money from the accounts receivable and asked them to return the money first. This was done by the person next door. Now that he has disappeared, it's too scary to think about it now. Could it be that they colluded with each other? Then didn't I get cheated by them? If this matter gets out of hand, I will go to jail. After that, Sister Hua cried again. Yenran understood that Sister Hua had only helped to sign the contract. She had also reported the suspicious points to the company. She comforted her and said, "Sister Hua, I don't think you have any responsibility in this matter. They won't put all the blame on you. The most important thing is still the person next door who is in charge of the specific project review." Sister Hua, do you know how they verified the authenticity of the accounts receivable? I heard that they went to verify the invoice contract and the warehouse receipt. Didn't they go to the hospital to verify it? I think this is the biggest problem. They always said that the hospital was very aggressive and didn't cooperate at all. It was the business department who wanted to do this business, but they were somehow fooled. If I were the one who reviewed it, I would definitely get the confirmation from the hospital. What about such a large amount of money, 1 billion yuan? How long will I have to bear this bad debt? Yenran comforted Sister Hua and said, "No matter what, the matter is out. It doesn't have much to do with you. Don't worry too much. I don't think I have much responsibility, but I'm afraid that during the supervision and inspection, all the related personnel will be blacklisted. Aren't they going to be severely punished now? If that's the case, then my career will be over. Sister Hua, don't worry too much. I think that right and wrong can always be distinguished. I heard that the task force will come to question you. When the time comes, you just have to tell me everything. I think it will be fine." Yenran comforted Sister Hua and smoothed her hair. Sister Hua sighed. "Yenran, in this industry, you have to be careful and cautious. Managing risk is like managing your life. I've been working for so many years and I've always been diligent and conscientious. I didn't expect that I would still fall into this trap." Soon, Yenran was called by the task force and prepared to go to the pharmaceutical company immediately. The night before she left, the latest news suddenly came. Many companies in the entire asset management industry had fallen into this big trap, and the overdue amount totaled to nearly 10 billion yuan. Chapter 212. It wasn't even 5:30 in the evening when someone knocked on Qiao Zhao's door. A sweet voice came from the door. "Brother Qiao." Qiao Xiao lazily climbed out of bed and shouted at the door. "Wait a minute." He picked up his phone and looked at it. F***CK. It was only 5:30, what was there to rush? Qiao Xiao had no choice but to find his clothes and slowly put them on. He had exercised a little in the morning and slept for a while. He was as lazy as a cat that had just woken up. Qiao Xiao licked the corner of his lips. If only Yenran was by his side, he could have a good time with her. After dawdling for almost 20 minutes, he finally opened the door. He looked at Yi Xuanfei, who was dressed to the nines. He didn't even bother to lift his eyelids and said directly, "Come in." Yi Xuanfei looked at Qiao Zhao's bed. "Brother Qiao, you're sleeping." I'm thirsty. Go and boil some water." Qiao Xiao didn't stand on ceremony at all. When had Yi Xuanfei, the eldest daughter of the family, done anything like boiling water for others? But at this moment, she obediently went to get the kettle and filled it with water. After a while, she made a cup of hot tea for Qiao Xiao. Qiao Xiao was already sitting on the sofa. His long legs were crossed on the coffee table. He stretched lazily and his shirt was pulled up slightly, revealing his lean and strong waist. Yi Xuanfei looked at Qiao Zhao's casual and lazy movements. No matter how she looked at it, it was really pleasing to the eye. Every movement he made didn't seem out of place. Chow Chow took a sip of tea and finally perked up. "Tell me, what's the plan for tonight?" "We'll go home for dinner tonight. Grandfather will officially welcome you back. Then I'll show you around my house. There are two special places in our house. One is the library, and the other is the medicine storage. Also, if you find it troublesome to run back and forth at night, I've prepared a guest room for you. It's right beside my room. If you're willing, I can show you around my room." Yi Xuanfei lowered her head shyly after saying this. Chow Chow didn't comment and didn't answer Yi Xuanfei's question. He only said, "If there's nothing else, let's go." Yi Xuanfei's eyes sparkled and she nodded at him like a cute little pug. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming widened their eyes and said to Chow Chow, "F***CK, it's a beauty sent to our door. It's a waste not to take it." Chow Chow rolled his eyes at them. "I'll give it to you too." Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming shook their heads and sighed in the space. What a waste of a heavenly treasure, a beautiful encounter that fell from the sky. It's something that can only be found by chance. Don't you want to reconsider? Aren't you guys afraid that I'll be beaten to death by Yanran? Who would know if you don't say it, and I don't say it? Once in a while, you should learn from Shiman Qing. Kong Xiaoming imitated Chow Zhao's playful attitude in the bracelet. Chow Zhao ground his teeth. "Kong Xiaoming, you scammer of the century. If you say such things again, I'll throw you out." Kong Ming also slapped Kong Xiaoming's head. "How can you say such things? You've wasted your time reading the books of the ancient sages. How dare you say such obscene words? Be careful that Zongheng doesn't ban your books." Chow Zhao burst out laughing. These two clowns. Yi Xuanfei didn't understand at all. She was happy when she saw that Chow Zhao was happy. The two of them went downstairs one after the other. However, they didn't expect that the group of reporters that Zhouqian Entertainment had bribed in the morning would take photos of them. All the major reporters rushed back overnight. They couldn't write about the news at the entrance of Zhouqian Entertainment, but they took photos of the two of them going in and out of the hotel together. No one would care about this news, right? It was explosive enough, eye-catching enough, and profitable enough. Yi Xuanfei's villa was in the suburbs of Huanghai City. The two of them drove for about an hour before they arrived at this place surrounded by green hills and clear waters. As soon as they got out of the car, Chow Chow could clearly feel that the spiritual power here was abundant and the scenery was pleasant. Although it was already dark, the lights around the villa were still lit. It was simple and grand, and the carved railings and painted buildings could be seen from afar. The most eye-catching thing was the two stone lions at the entrance. This really surprised Chow Chow. Who would place stone lions at the entrance nowadays? But at this moment, the totem on his chest started to vibrate. Chow Chow pressed it down. It seemed that there was a formation here. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming had already begun to show off their achievements. This is a very obvious cycle heaven-defying formation. It is different from the usual method of setting up a formation. This is a reverse formation, so all the solutions here have to be reversed. You have to be careful. Chow Chow understood. It seemed that these two stone lions were also part of the formation. The circular formation was very lethal. As long as it was activated, it would circulate endlessly. The aristocratic families of the East really had a deep foundation. They had their own strengths. If the aristocratic families of the South were said to be righteous, then the aristocratic families of the East could be said to be unorthodox. But both of them were outstanding. Yi Xuanfei looked at Chow Chow, who had stopped at the entrance, with a look of admiration on her face. She was proud. She knew that Chow Chow would definitely be convinced by her family's strength. "Brother Chow, let's go in. It's quite big inside. I'll show you around." After saying that, she wanted to pull on Chow Zhao's hand. Chow Chow took the opportunity to put his hands into his trouser pockets, avoiding Yi Xuanfei's slender hands. Yi Xuanfei didn't mind. She directly hooked her arm around Chow Zhao's arm and intimately pulled him in. After entering the gate, what surprised Chow Chow was that there was actually a small man-made lake. It was the height of summer, and lotus flowers were blooming all over the lake. The soft and tough round lotus leaves were laid flat together, layer upon layer, squeezing against each other, competing with each other to hold out the tender pink flowers. The thin and straight flower stalks were in full bloom, full and symmetrical. Under the caress of the summer wind, it was like a spoiled young girl, swaying her waist in an alluring arc, silently inviting something. Qiao Xiao glanced over and Yi Xuanfei, who was beside him, let go of him and flew to the side of the lotus pond. She waved at Qiao Xiao and said, "Brother Qiao, come quickly. I'll show you the twin lotus flowers here." As her body danced in the air, her charming waist was like the stem of the lotus flower, smooth and white under the light. As her bohemian long dress danced in the air, she looked like a fairy who was about to fly to the top of the lotus flower. Kong Xiaoming murmured in admiration in the bracelet, "This small waist is so charming. Qiao Xiao, why don't you reconsider? Her looks are comparable to Yanron's. I'd rather look at myself than her." Qiao Xiao rolled his eyes and followed. They walked along the lotus pond and walked through a long corridor. There were green pillars and red railings, and they couldn't see the end of it. There were colorful paintings of people, flowers, and sceneries on each side of the corridor. Flowers and trees were planted on both sides of the corridor. One kind of flower hadn't withered, but another kind had bloomed. A gentle breeze blew from the side of the lotus pond. Qiao Xiao felt as if he was walking in the summer palace. He asked Yi Xuanfei, "Did you guys build this to imitate the royal gardens?" "Brother Qiao, you're amazing. You saw the essence of it with one look. At that time, we imitated the royal gardens. You have to know that I'm a princess." Yi Xuanfei winked at Qiao Xiao. "What's so great about being a princess?" "Qiao Xiao is the crown prince." This time, Kong Xiaoming didn't continue to praise Yi Xuanfei. "You finally said something reasonable," Qiao Xiao complained in his heart. After walking through the winding corridor, Qiao Xiao finally arrived in front of a main house. At this time, it was brightly lit. There were 2 rows of people standing at the door. They bowed their heads respectfully and held their breaths. They were very respectful. The moment Qiao Xiao entered the door, he saw old Master Yi welcoming him with a smile. "Welcome, welcome, Qiao Xiao. I haven't seen you for a few years. I'm impressed. Ha 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 ha." His hearty laughter drifted through the entire house. Old Master Yi was in a good mood. "Hello, Old Master Yi. I'm Qiao Xiao." Old Master Yi walked over from afar. Although his eyes were full of smiles, he couldn't hide the shrewdness in his eyes. Qiao Xiao obviously felt a wave of pressure coming from Old Master Yi. However, the pressure was fleeting. It didn't really surge toward Qiao Xiao. Instead, it seemed to be a demonstration, a reminder, or a warning. Qiao Xiao was on high alert. This was really a feast at Hongmen. If he really couldn't do it, he would muster up the courage to challenge the false saint realm. As long as he didn't have kidney deficiency, it was fine. The 3 of them sat down in front of a slightly large long table. The table was made of Phoebe Zhennan wood and covered with an exquisite tablecloth. There were silverware of the same color on the table. Every style was different, but when put together, they formed a set of tableware. Everything was very exquisite. The teacup in front of Qiao Xiao looked ordinary. There were no patterns on the bottom of the teacup. However, when the warm tea was poured into it, there was a faint outline of a figure. Qiao Xiao looked at it. Hey, the 12 hairpins of Jinling. There was an endless stream of people serving the dishes. The table wasn't filled with delicious food. Instead, there was only a small plate of each dish. It depended on the taste of the diners. If they only ate a few mouthfuls and stopped eating, someone would immediately remove them. If they didn't eat, they would temporarily put their chopsticks on the table. However, before the next dish was served, that dish would be removed regardless of whether it was finished or not. Qiao Xiao said to Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming, "You guys give me 120% of your attention. See if there are any elixirs in there. Don't leave me here." Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming said, "Don't worry, we'll be watching." The dishes look very exquisite. Just enjoy. The sumptuous dishes were naturally accompanied by good wine. The moment the bottle of white wine was opened, a whiff of wine overflowed. It was good wine. Chow Shao placed a large cup in front of the table and filled it to the brim. Yi Lao raised his cup and said the opening words. Chow Shao, welcome to our Yi family today. Xuanfei has always mentioned you to me. She said that you are very outstanding. This morning, we 3 Zishuan masters couldn't even fight back. The younger generation will surpass us in time. Chow Shao quickly raised his cup and replied, I was reckless this morning. These masters are very strong. It's just that they aren't in good condition today. Yi Lao, let me give you a toast. Thank you for preparing such a sumptuous meal for me. Xuanfei and I used to be classmates for a period of time. You can treat me as her classmate. You don't have to be so polite with me. These words were very appropriate. Yi Lao felt comfortable listening to them. Yi Xuanfei's face was full of admiration. Yi Lao nodded with satisfaction and drank the wine in his cup with Chow Shao. Kong Ming was a little worried. Even if there are no elixirs in the dishes, don't get drunk. There's still a tigress beside you. Chapter 213. Come, come, come. Drink some wine and eat some food. Treat this place as your own home. Don't be shy. Don't leave at night. The night view here is pretty good. Since you and Xuanfei are so close, you should interact more. Relationships need to be nurtured. The two of you are usually far apart. Now that you've finally met, you should stay for a few more days. I believe that Xuanfei will arrange everything for you. We also have a few businesses that Xuanfei can show you around. This is our Eastern aristocratic family. I hope you'll like it. Old Master Yi spoke like an elder and was full of sincerity. If Chow Shao didn't know about the relationship between the Eastern and Southern aristocratic families, he would have thought that he was a kind old man. Chow Shao raised his eyes slightly. Old Master Yi, Xuanfei and I are just classmates. Unexpectedly, Old Master Yi laughed. Xuanfei, it seems like you have to work harder. Chow Shao still treats you as a classmate. But I believe that the relationship between classmates is the most sincere. Classmates also know each other the best. So, Chow Shao, you two should take this opportunity to get closer to each other. After dinner, this old man won't disturb you. Xuanfei can bring you to our library and elixir room to take a look. There will definitely be something you'll be interested in. Yi Xuanfei was embarrassed by her grandfather's words. She looked at him coquettishly and said, Grandpa, don't scare Chow Shao. Okay. Grandpa won't say anything. I'll let you experience it for yourselves. Come. Bring a bowl of very nutritious soup. Chow Shao, this bowl of soup is given to all cultivators. It contains elixirs specially made by the Eastern aristocratic family. It's very helpful for increasing one's spiritual power. If you eat it often, you'll be able to break through faster. That's why there are more people in the Eastern aristocratic family than other aristocratic families. It's rare for you to be a guest here. You must try this soup. Chow Shao was alarmed. Could this soup be drunk? Would it have any effect on him after drinking it? Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming looked at the servant next to them. She brought a big jar and scooped out 3 bowls of soup and placed them in front of the 3 of them. Yenron's task force was already on the way to the pharmaceutical company. There were 5 people in the group, led by the company's president directly. There was Sister Hua from the Risk Control Department, 1 person from the Audit Department, 1 person from the business team, and Yen Ran, who was in charge of recording and running errands. The pharmaceutical company was in a neighboring city. It took them almost 2 hours to reach the headquarters of the company. As soon as they got out of the car, they rushed to the company without even eating. There were not many people left in the company. Only a few people stayed behind to guard the door. They did not dare to leave. If they did, the police would arrest them directly. A vice president, a finance manager, and an administrator. They were not surprised by the arrival of Yenron's group. The vice president said, "You're late. About 5 or 6 groups of people have already come. The police have taken all the people, documents, and computers that can be taken away. There are also a few groups of people who are staying in the hotel next door. They just did not leave." The few people in the company could only look at each other. It seemed that other people had already swept through this place. They did not know what else could be left for them. "We still want to take a look. What other documents do you have here?" The president said directly. "There's nothing else. There are some documents that were copied too much at that time. We are preparing to destroy them. If you want to take a look, then it's that pile of waste. How about this? We'll leave 2 people here to take a look. The rest of you will go to the police station first." With one sentence from the president, Yenran and Sister Hua from the Risk Control Department stayed, while the others went directly to the police station. Yenran saw that several offices were in a mess. She said to Sister Hua, "Sister Hua, I'll collect all the documents first. I think the offices next door also have them." "Okay, I'll take a look at this pile first." Yenran saw that there were several offices next door. Only one of them was locked. She looked at the sign hanging on the door. It was Human Resources Department. It was very strange. Why was only this one locked? Yenran walked forward, took out a hard card, and inserted it into the gap next to the door lock. With a click, the door opened. As Yenran expected, the door lock of the office was not an anti-theft lock. It could be opened with an ID card. The drawers had been rummaged through. The place where Yenron's feet stepped was a mess. She squatted down and looked carefully, hoping to find some clues in the middle. There were office cabinets, desks, and a lot of empty folders in the room. Yenran looked through them one by one. Their task now was to see if they could find traces of the money flow. After all, there was so much money that it could not be spent in a short time. The actual controller had been lost, and the police were also looking for him. If there were clues of the actual controller's escape, it would give a glimmer of hope for the impossible to recover the money. In the pile of trash, Yenran found a roster. It should be the roster of all the employees. The name at the top was the actual controller, Wang Haiyang. Yenran had seen this name countless times in the files. She looked down and her eyes widened instantly. There were several names that she seemed to have seen before. She thought carefully. She must have seen these names before. Yes, it was in the letter left by Hua Gang. She looked further and a very blurry photo fell out. However, Yenran could recognize this person even if he turned into ashes. It was Yu Tian from the Golden Age nightclub. At this moment, the name of the photo was labeled as Wang Haiyang. Yenran was a little confused. Could it be that Wang Haiyang and Yu Tian looked very similar? Or were the 2 of them the same person? In any case, there were several people listed on the list in Hua Gang's letter. This company was not simple. There were actually people from the cultivation world here. Yenran took the list and found the vice president of the pharmaceutical company who stayed behind. She asked him about the origins of these people in detail. "These people have not been here for long. They have been here for about half a year. However, they are not on duty all the time. They are all in key positions. The previous employees of the company had some complaints." "What about the actual controller, Wang Haiyang?" Wang Haiyang was also the person who bought the company's shares 2 years ago. However, the company was developing very well at that time. It was normal for someone to make a strategic investment. Originally, the previous chairman was unwilling to sell it. But one day, for some reason, he sold it. The price didn't seem to be too high. Then, the chairman said that he was going abroad to retire. Everyone held a farewell ceremony for him and he went abroad. The company became the new leader of the actual controller. Then what about the new leader? The new leader wanted to expand the company's business. His reason was that the whole industry was thriving. It would be a pity if he didn't take advantage of this opportunity to fly. Therefore, he gave the finance department a very heavy financing plan. It was also at that time that the people you asked about just now joined the company. After that, they were in charge of the financing. We really don't know the details of the implementation. Although I'm the vice president, I've only been in the company for a few days. In the end, I didn't expect to have to take over this mess. Now, no one is paying us, and the company's bank accounts are all frozen. However, the police still asked us to stay here and wait for them to finish dealing with this matter. We're really unlucky. The more Yenran listened, the colder her heart became. It seemed that this was a long-planned conspiracy. The purpose was to cheat the loan. From the looks of it, it had succeeded. It seemed that the Eastern aristocratic family's hands were very long. Not only did they arrange people in the pharmaceutical company, but they even arranged people in their asset management company. It was too scary. When the practitioners of the human world didn't care about moral integrity and stretched their evil hands to human beings, who could resist it? Yenron's body was cold, and her hands were trembling. The sense of justice in her heart forced her to do something. However, what could she do now? Right now, she didn't have anyone, she didn't have any money, and she didn't have any spiritual power. She remembered that the only thing he had was his identity token. It belonged to her alone, not the Southern aristocratic family. It was not easy to get this token. It was a coincidence that she handled the case well. Her grandfather helped her apply for a medal directly from the higher-ups. It was a bit like a death exemption medal, but it was also the only way to report to the higher-ups. Yenran made up her mind. She could not ignore this matter. She decided to write an email to the higher-ups as soon as she returned to the hotel at night. She took all the information she collected to Sister Hua's office. The two of them looked for a needle in a haystack. What's the use of this information? It's all old information. The useful ones must have been taken to the police station. Sister Hua complained as she looked. Yenran picked up a pile of data lists. She didn't understand. She handed it to Sister Hua and asked, "Sister Hua, there are so many data and invoice numbers. What are they for?" Sister Hua took it and flipped through it casually at first. However, her expression became more and more serious. "Yenran, do you know what this is? This is evidence of their fraud. It's a list of false value-added tax invoices. Look, they wrote the invoices first and then canceled them. These bastards are really liars." Yenran didn't understand. "Sister Hua, can you tell me in detail what this means?" Sister Hua gritted her teeth and said, "These bastards. They first wrote value-added tax invoices to create the illusion that they were selling goods. Then, they used the excuse that the tertiary grade A hospital was more powerful and the hospital would not cooperate to prove the authenticity of the accounts receivable. After this pretense, they naturally proved the hospital's power during the interview. I happened to go to the interview that day. I even secretly took a video. They didn't allow me to take a video at all. Now that I think about it, those two people were probably not from the hospital at all. At that time, they took us to a meeting room with a stamp. There, they stamped the list of accounts receivable." Chapter 2:14. Sister Hua continued, "I suspected that the people in the hospital had such a bad attitude, and they seemed to be afraid to show their identity information to you. Now that I saw these invalid invoices, I realized that they were all fake sales, and the contracts were fake. The official seals must be fake too. Yenran, I have a bold guess. We were all cheated at that time. Didn't they take a few of the accounts receivable and send them here? Could it be that they just happened to pick the ones that they didn't fake?" Yenran asked her doubts. "I couldn't figure it out at first, but now that I saw that they dared to fake it, there was also the inspector who ran away from our company. Everything is clear now, isn't it? They must have colluded with each other. The accounts receivable must have been chosen by them, and they all colluded with each other. In the end, they cheated my company and me. They really deserve to die. So that's how it was." All the chain of evidence was connected in Yenron's mind. First, Yu Tian pretended to be Wang Haiyang and bought the company. Then, several practitioners entered the company and started to make fake invoices together, taking loans from various asset companies. Then, they pretended to be people from the hospital to verify the authenticity of the accounts receivable. Finally, they colluded with the asset companies to verify the authenticity of the accounts receivable. It was possible that the radish seal was fake, the accounts were fake, and the people were fake. Their ultimate goal was to cheat money from the asset companies, which was close to 10 billion. What they were most fearless about was that the human police couldn't catch the practitioners at all, and the whole society was in chaos. After returning to the hotel at night, Yenran thought for a long time and wrote a long email, explaining the ins and outs of the matter very clearly. Then, she used her special identity to send the email out. The only thing she could do now was to hope that the higher-ups would recognize the ugly faces of the Eastern aristocratic family and stop them from doing the same thing again. She wanted them to return all the 10 billion that they cheated this time. She didn't know what the chances of success were, but at least she had to try. Even if she didn't have any spiritual power, she still had a sense of mission and responsibility. If she didn't do something, she wouldn't be able to pass this hurdle. When she was done, she looked out of the window at the night sky. It was already late at night. Xiao Xiao didn't call her or send her a WeChat message today, which made her feel a little strange. Usually, he would call her for half a day and send her a WeChat message. He would do all kinds of funny things. He would send beautiful pictures of himself with his big head. Sometimes, he would send some sexy pictures of himself. Every time, Yenran would make fun of him. What if he sent the wrong group? Would they cry? Xiao Xiao thought about it later and agreed, so she stopped posting the nude photos. However, she kept throwing baskets after baskets of jokes at Yenran. Every time, Yenran would be amused and the corners of her mouth would be raised high. She wanted to call Xiao Xiao, but seeing that it was already early in the morning, she guessed that he was probably asleep. She would talk about it tomorrow. She was about to turn off the computer when suddenly, a picture popped up in the news feed at the bottom right corner. Xiao Xiao was like a master, walking in front with sunglasses, and behind him was a beautiful girl in a bohemian dress. Between the dress and the top of her blouse, there was a glittering navel ring on her belly button, and little blue stars were faintly discernible. Yenron's pupils shrank suddenly. It was Yi Xuanfei. The background of the picture was very obvious. It was the lobby of a 5-star hotel. The headline of the news was, "Confirmed." Xiao Xiao and the daughter of the Yi group spent 4 hours together in a hotel. Yenran thought for a while. She didn't believe a word of the news, but she still felt angry. She took out her phone and sent Xiao Xiao a WeChat message. "Do you want to die?" The bowl of soup in front of Xiao Xiao was milky white. At first glance, it was clear that it had been stewed for more than a few hours. The fragrance wafted in the air, seducing Xiao Xiao's taste buds. Xiao Xiao anxiously asked Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming in his mind, "Is this soup drinkable?" Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming looked at each other. "It's all from the same jar. There shouldn't be too much of a problem, right?" Then Kong Xiaoming added, "It's still very simple. Why don't you throw a coin?" Xiao Xiao gritted his teeth. At this critical moment, he couldn't count on these 2-century-old idiots. Xiao Xiao picked up the bowl and smelled it. It was indeed very fragrant. Seeing that Yi Lao and Yi Xuanfei had already started tasting it, he could only pick up the spoon and take a small sip. He licked it with his tongue. There was a hint of Chinese medicine in it. Ouch! Xiao Xiao suddenly bent down at the table, holding his stomach and crying, "My stomach hurts." Yi Xuanfei hurried over and held him. Seeing that Xiao Xiao's forehead was covered in a layer of cold sweat, she turned pale with fright and asked, "What's wrong?" Xiao Xiao pointed at the soup in front of him. "I only drank 2 mouthfuls and my mouth is numb. My stomach hurts too. What's in this soup?" Yi Xuanfei and Yi Lao looked at each other. Yi Lao quickly said, "It's the medicine that we ordinary cultivators usually take to increase our spiritual power." Xiao Xiao immediately said, "Maybe this medicine is suitable for you, but not for me. My stomach hurts too much right now. I need to go to the washroom." Hearing Xiao Xiao's words, Yi Xuanfei hurriedly helped him up and helped him to the washroom. Once in the washroom, Yi Xuanfei nervously paced back and forth at the door. She heard Qiao Xiao vomiting inside. Grandpa also came over. Yi Xuanfei hurried over. Grandpa, what's in this soup? Is it just ordinary medicine? How did it make Qiao Xiao vomit so much? People who take this pill for the first time will have some reactions. I didn't expect Qiao Xiao's reaction to be so big. It shouldn't be a big deal. He'll be fine after vomiting. It seems that I have to study his body constitution again. I have to let him get used to it slowly. Also, as I told you last time, I have to add some ingredients to make him loyal to you. Give me some of your blood so that I can make the pill specially prepared for him. Yi Xuanfei was relieved when she heard that it wouldn't be a big deal. It seemed that she couldn't eat anymore. When Qiao Xiao came out with a pale face, he sat on the sofa and rested for a while. He only recovered after drinking some hot tea. Yi Xuanfei said apologetically, "I'm sorry, Qiao Xiao. I didn't know that your reaction would be so big. The cultivators of the Eastern aristocratic families all take this medicine. They seem to have a reaction too, but they definitely don't feel so bad." Qiao Xiao had only used his tongue to lick it. He didn't really drink it. It was just that the medicine made him feel a little disgusted. He played along and pretended to have food poisoning. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming gave him a thumbs up through the bracelet. "Qiao Xiao, you're awesome. Your acting skills are at the level of an award-winning actor." After resting for a while, Yi Lao went back to rest after saying goodbye. Yi Xuanfei stayed by Qiao Xiao's side and kept feeding him hot water and massaging his legs. "Brother Qiao, do you want to go back to your room to rest, or do you want me to take you to see our medicine storage and library?" "I'm much better now. Go and get me some fruits. We'll continue today's arrangements in a while." Qiao Xiao directly instructed Yi Xuanfei. He couldn't miss the highlight of the night. His goal was to find the antidote for the spiritual transformation pill. He couldn't let all his previous efforts go to waste. Yi Xuanfei immediately asked the servant to bring some fruits. Now Qiao Xiao knew that the pills had a bitter taste. If the food didn't have a bitter taste, it shouldn't be a problem. He pretended to feel uncomfortable after vomiting just now. He took some sweet watermelon and moistened his throat. "Who made the pills here? What are their effects?" "The pills here are all made by Grandpa. He's at the master level. I learned a little from him when I was young, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. The cultivators under us who ate the pills made by Grandpa improved their cultivation by leaps and bounds." "Are there any side effects?" Qiao Xiao pretended to ask casually. "What side effects?" Yi Xuanfei's eyes flashed. "I usually eat them too." After Qiao Xiao finished all the watermelon on the plate, he stood up and said to Yi Xuanfei, "Let's go and see the treasury of the Eastern aristocratic families." Under Yi Xuanfei's lead, Qiao Xiao directly got on an electric golf cart. "Are you taking me to play golf?" "No, Brother Qiao. It's a little far, so it's more convenient to drive." "Isn't it in your courtyard?" "Yes, our house is connected to the back of the mountain. This large area belongs to our house." Qiao Xiao couldn't help but be shocked. How much wealth and power did the Eastern aristocratic families accumulate to be able to take over such a large piece of land? Sure enough, the golf cart drove for nearly 20 minutes before they reached the entrance of the medicine warehouse. On the surface, there was a very inconspicuous 4-story building in front of them. It was very different from the simple and grand decoration of the main house. It looked like an inconspicuous factory. It was gray and had a small door for people to enter and exit. Yi Xuanfei led Qiao Xiao inside. After entering an inconspicuous small door, there was a large automatic door controlled by artificial intelligence. The door only opened after Yi Xuanfei's fingerprint and pupil recognition. After entering, it was another world altogether. There was a factory with an unobstructed view of almost 2,000 square meters. There were all kinds of experimental equipment inside, and there were also people in white coats and protective suits walking around. Most of the people were either sitting or standing, doing experiments at the table. The smell of all kinds of herbs filled the entire space, which made Xiao Xiao feel a little uncomfortable. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming took a deep breath and said to Xiao Xiao, "The smell here is more simple. Many of them should be made with ancient formulas. There are a total of 4 floors here. Each floor is our medicine laboratory. In fact, it's like a pharmaceutical factory. This is the most powerful place in our house." "Oh, which medicines are produced by you? Have I heard of them?" Xiao Xiao asked curiously. Yi Xuanfei pursed her lips and smiled. "Brother Qiao, we haven't. Our pills are for the use of our own people. How can we release them to the outside world?" "Then what are your pills used for?" "The main purpose is to improve the spiritual power of cultivators so that they can improve their physical strength as soon as possible. Or to give them a boost when they break through. Or to directly dissolve the spiritual power. Just like what you did to Yanran?" Chapter 215. Yi Xuanfei avoided his gaze. "Brother Qiao, this is what my grandfather and the others did. I really don't know. This is probably their last resort to fight for territory and power. But they didn't harm Yanran's life. She's living quite well now." Xiao Xiao stared into her eyes for a long time and didn't say anything. He continued to walk forward. "Take me to see how this spiritual transformation pill is made." Yi Xuanfei hurriedly caught up with him. "Brother Qiao, I can't see this. I didn't even know about this pill and I don't even know where my grandfather made it. No one here knows how to make it." Xiao Xiao also knew that Yi Xuanfei might not know about such an important matter, so he didn't say anything more. He carefully looked through the 1st to 4th levels, and all of them were people producing and concocting pills. It seemed that this wasn't the place he was looking for. Xiao Xiao wasn't interested. He said to Yi Xuanfei, "Take me to see the other treasuries." Yi Xuanfei saw that this topic had been skipped and she finally heaved a sigh of relief. Xiao Xiao finally had some thoughts. She didn't want him to think about these things again. It seemed that he really treated Yanran differently. Yi Xuanfei was jealous, but there was nothing she could do. She was flustered and looked at Xiao Xiao's back view with some resentment. Xiao Xiao suddenly turned back and winked at her. "Follow me." The bitterness in Yi Xuanfei's heart disappeared in an instant. She happily followed him and took the initiative to hold Xiao Xiao's arm. Her whole body was almost pressed against his right arm as she walked forward intimately. Xiao Xiao's right arm was a little stiff. He advised himself in his heart to endure it. Endure it, he must endure it. He couldn't let all his efforts go to waste. The two of them held hands and got into the golf car again. They continued to move towards the back of the mountain. This time, they drove directly to the foot of the mountain. At the entrance of a huge cave, there was a quaint door. Rows of golden nails glowed under the moonlight. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming praised in the bracelet. "The aura of this place is similar to ours. It is definitely a treasure. Xiao Xiao, it would be great if you could move them all back." After opening the door, the totem on Xiao Xiao's chest started vibrating. Xiao Xiao quickly pressed it down, giving Yi Xuanfei a fright. "Brother Qiao, what's wrong? Why did you hit yourself for no reason?" "Oh, there's a bug." He avoided Yi Xuanfei's arm. There was no one guarding the library. There were dozens of 5-meter-tall bookshelves in the cave. It was just like a small library. Yi Xuanfei shuttled between the bookshelves like a butterfly. She introduced Xiao Xiao bit by bit. "Look, these are all books on alchemy. These are books on martial arts. These are books on cultivation. There are also books on various aspects of the human world that can be collected. We have everything here. However, most of the books in the human world are electronic. We store them all in the computer. There's no way to store these ancient books. They can also be stored, but the unique books can only be placed in the bookshelves in this way. The temperature and humidity here are very particular. This is to prevent the books from decaying." Xiao Xiao looked at the dazzling array of books. There were all kinds of books. It was really a treasure trove in the human world. There were 2 rows of shelves from top to bottom. They were all books on alchemy. Qiao Xiao took a look. There were all kinds of alchemy books. The names were all strange. On the top row, he seemed to have seen 3 words: Spiritual Transformation Pill. It must be him. Even if he couldn't find the antidote for the spiritual transformation pill, he had to read about him first. Brother Qiao, if you want to read, I can accompany you. We can take a few books back to the room to read. If there's something you don't understand, I can explain it to you. Is that okay? Qiao Xiao heard this. Yi Xuanfei had bad intentions. If they read together, wouldn't it prolong the time they could spend alone together? Qiao Xiao's brows were tightly knitted. She had an uninterested look as she rejected, "No need, I'm not particularly interested in reading." Who knew that Yi Xuanfei was waiting for him to say this? She also didn't think there was anything interesting about these books. They weren't as good as her. She pouted and shook Qiao Xiao's arm. "Brother Qiao, let's go back to the room." After the 2 of them returned to the main house, Yi Xuanfei sent Qiao Xiao to the guest room. Then she stayed in the room and refused to leave. "Brother Qiao, let's watch a movie together, okay?" "No, I'm going to take a shower. You can go back first." But Yi Xuanfei wasn't willing to let go of this great opportunity. She blinked and said shyly to Qiao Xiao, "I'll wait for you." When Qiao Xiao heard this, he felt that Yi Xuanfei had really come to him. He shook off the goosebumps on his body and pulled Yi Xuanfei up from his bed. He walked her to the door and then pushed her against the wall. He tilted his head and whispered in her ear, "You've been with me the whole day. It's been hard on you. Go back and sleep early." Yi Xuanfei felt Qiao Xiao's breath in her ear and her entire body heated up. She didn't know where her courage came from, but she hooked her arms around Qiao Xiao's neck and pulled him towards her. Her red lips were about to touch Qiao Xiao's thin lips. But she didn't expect that in front of Qiao Xiao, there seemed to be a layer of air blocking her. Yi Xuanfei couldn't kiss him no matter how hard she tried. Qiao Xiao had already set up a god seal in front of him. How could he let Yi Xuanfei kiss him? He opened the door and turned Yi Xuanfei around. "Sleep early. I won't send you off." With that, he locked the door. Yi Xuanfei didn't know whether to laugh or cry at Qiao Xiao's flirtatious actions. Only he was allowed to tease her, but she wasn't allowed to tease him? But Qiao Xiao's attitude towards her had indeed changed. At least, he was now willing to take the initiative to tease her. It seemed that the Eastern aristocratic family had left a good impression on Qiao Xiao. His balance was slowly tilting towards her. She stood in front of her dressing table and touched her ears that were still burning. She recalled Qiao Xiao's faint touch and couldn't resist at all. She cupped her cheeks with both hands. They were as red as fire and as beautiful as flowers. It was late at night. Occasionally, the croaking of frogs could be heard in the mansion of the Eastern aristocratic family. Everyone was asleep and only a few servants were on night patrol. Once night fell, no one dared to move around the entire mansion. This was because the Eastern aristocratic family's array formation had been activated. If anyone barged in and entered this array formation, they would never be able to escape. And in this moonless and windy night, the handsome man who had snuck into the night quietly opened the window of his room. He flew down from the 3rd floor like a great bird spreading its wings. He didn't cause any disturbance. He was covered in a layer of demonic aura, which was suitable for walking in the dark. Qiao Xiao followed the route in his memory and went directly to the library. In the elixir storage room, he looked carefully but didn't see anything. Such an important elixir wouldn't be placed in a conspicuous place. On the contrary, the library was a relatively secret place. Even if there was no antidote, at least there was a book about the panacea that he had seen before. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming supported his guess. The antidote might be in Yi Lao's bedroom or in another place where treasures were hidden. This courtyard was too big. It would be very troublesome to search everywhere. It was better to read the introduction of the panacea first. Qiao Xiao walked very fast. Since his demonic aura had increased by leaps and bounds, his skills in all aspects had improved. He raised his speed to the extreme and soon saw the door of the library. At night, the door of the library was hidden in the depression of the mountain. It was glowing with a bleak red light. At the door, Qiao Zhao's totem shook quickly. It was even stronger than when he came in at night. He took out the totem on his chest. A strand of demonic aura wrapped around him and let it fly into the air. It slowly rotated clockwise above Qiao Zhao's head and forehead. Gradually, the totem turned into a circle of small golden swords. The arrowheads were extremely sharp and as thin as cicadas' wings. They formed an ancient pattern. The torrential spiritual power brought out by the totem rushed toward the door. The whole door was under the impact of the spiritual power. It was like the door was about to ripple and deform. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming immediately shouted, "Qiao Xiao, are you going to smash the door? You will be fined for damaging public property." Qiao Xiao quickly withdrew some of his power. "I haven't used it for a long time. I'm not very familiar with it. I didn't expect my strength to rise to this level." Then he held his breath and focused on the totem. He changed the direction of the rotation of the totem. The reverse circulation array could only be solved in reverse. He said softly, "Break." A few small golden swords flew toward the door with irresistible force. With a few popping sounds, the array on the door broke. After a long while, Qiao Xiao didn't move. After the array was broken, he still couldn't enter. He looked at the facial recognition system next to him and had a headache. What should I do? I forgot to steal Yi Xuanfei's face. If I force my way in, will it trigger the alarm system? Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming thought for a while. Probably. They didn't expect that the ancient array would be so difficult to break through with modern equipment. Qiao Xiao carefully looked at the switch of the facial recognition system. He found that there were only 3 cameras on it, and not the usual 4 cameras with 3D recognition technology. His heart skipped a beat. Could it be an old model or a fake? He remembered reading in a book that some facial recognition technology could be cracked through with photos. He studied it carefully. Of the 3 cameras, one was an infrared camera used to fill in the light, one was a camera used to take photos and collect images, and the last one was a visible light camera used to allow the face to be aimed at the camera. He took out his phone and opened Yi Xuanfei's WeChat Moments. He took a clear photo of her face and moved it up and down in front of the facial recognition camera. He heard a clear voice in the dark night. "Verification successful." Yay! Qiao Xiao, you didn't learn computer science for nothing. You can do this. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming cheered for Qiao Xiao when they saw that he had successfully cracked the array. Qiao Xiao was proud. He put away his phone. "Your brother Qiao, I didn't read so many books for nothing." Qiao Xiao slowly pushed the door open. A trace of cold air seeped into his skin. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming were rolling around excitedly in the bracelet. "Qiao Xiao, this is really a treasure trove. You have to take all of them away." Qiao Xiao ignored them. She walked over to the shelf of medicinal pills and saw the spiritual transformation pill at the top. She reached out to grab it, but at that moment, something unexpected happened. Chapter 216. The spiritual transformation pill book was placed at a higher position, at the top of the 5-story bookshelf. Qiao Xiao jumped, wanting to take it down. Once the spiritual transformation pill was in his hand, the pages of the book fluttered in the wind as he moved from top to bottom, and the book's fragrance entered Qiao Zhao's nose. "It smells so good." Qiao Xiao took a deep breath. The ancient ink fragrance was different from modern printing. It was drawn stroke by stroke. Although it was a long time ago, it was still deeply engraved. Qiao Xiao directly sat on the ground and woke up the little tadpole in his mind, preparing to put the entire spiritual transformation pill book into it. After a while, Qiao Xiao seemed to have entered the Panglai Immortal Island. In a valley surrounded by immortal aura, a fairy dressed in feathered clothes seemed to have arrived with the wind. She was a beautiful woman who was pleasing to the eye. Her appearance was like that of a fairy, and her slender, jade-like hands were slowly refining pills in front of a house that was covered by green trees and flowers. She was neither hurried nor slow, demure and graceful. She wore an expensive gauze dress that was as long as the moon, dragging on the ground. A few cute little animals surrounded her feet. A squirrel mischievously wanted to burrow under the fairy's dress, but it was lightly kicked away by the fairy. She softly reprimanded, "Naughty, go and help me get some more herbs." The fairy took a small delicate cauldron beside her and lit it. A small cluster of bright red flames danced excitedly. The fairy used her slender hands to cover the cauldron as if she was warming it up, but more like she was pouring spiritual power into the cauldron. Her fingertips were round and slender, and her nails seemed to be naturally dyed with rouge. Like her cheeks, they glowed with a healthy red. After a while, a few unknown little birds came over with some green immortal herbs and placed them in front of the fairy. Then, they stopped to the side and raised their small heads, looking at the fairy with worship. The fairy placed the immortal grass into the small cauldron in front of her, and then continued to adjust the flame. There was a faint smile on her face, and the corners of her mouth were slightly raised, as if the grass in her hand was her favorite. Seeing the immortal grass gradually turn into a light green color, and then into a white powder, with thick silk juice flowing out, the corners of her mouth curled up even more. Her eyes moved, and a wave of electricity spread out around her. Her red lips parted, and a soft voice drifted out. "Which little mischievous fellow took away my blood-clotting grass just now?" An immortal rabbit quickly ran in from the distance. It was chewing something in its mouth. When the fairy saw this, she raised her hand and snatched it from the immortal rabbit's mouth. She softly said, "Can this be eaten? You deserve a beating." After saying this, her jade-like hand took the opportunity to turn around and lightly hit the immortal rabbit's fat butt. The fairy continued to put in all kinds of immortal herbs, and the small cauldron gradually overflowed with a strong fragrance. It was just like the ink fragrance that Xiao Xiao smelled just now. He took a deep breath, and let the ink fragrance seep into his heart, as if he couldn't stop. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming looked at Xiao Xiao, who had entered a meditative state, and were very puzzled. "Xiao Xiao, aren't you reading a book? You haven't turned the page for so long?" And Xiao Xiao's expression was very happy at this time. His face was overflowing with a smile, and his eyebrows were relaxed. It was as if his whole body was soaked in a bubble of happiness. Kong Xiaoming looked at his intoxicated expression, and said to Kong Ming, "Xiao Xiao, don't tell me you're dreaming about your big wedding with Yanran? How could you fall asleep while sitting? Could it be? Oh no, it must be another array." Kong Ming was very anxious. At this time, no one activated the totem, so how could they wake Xiao Xiao up? Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming shouted in the bracelet, "Xiao Xiao, quickly wake up, you've fallen into a trap." But these two people's voices seemed to have been automatically blocked by Xiao Xiao. He was still looking at the fairy refining pills with an intoxicated expression. The fairy's every movement was very graceful and gentle, as if she was brushing the face of her lover. As the fire in the small cauldron condensed, a pill that was as lustrous and smooth as a pearl condensed. The fairy's face was full of surprise, and there was a smile in the corner of her eyes. She gently picked up the lid, leaned on the table, and held her cheeks with both hands. She closed her beautiful eyes and took a deep breath, as if it was a delicacy in the world, and only in the heavens. The surrounding small animals all surrounded her, standing on their hind legs and raising their forelimbs, chirping as if they were waiting for the fairy to give them a reward. But at this time, the fairy raised her index finger to her lips and shushed them. "Don't be noisy, this is not for you, this is for the honorable guest." Then she used her jade hand to fan the hot air, and her 10 fingers slightly hooked. The silver-white pill flew into the hollow of her palm. The beauty was like jade, and her palm was like mutton fat. The slightly raised orchid fingers of her right hand lightly stroked the pill in the hollow of her left palm. She slightly turned her wrist, and her thumb and index finger were already pinched together, as if it was a pearl emitting an immortal aura. The fairy slightly raised her eyes, her beautiful eyes flowing with hope, and said slowly and seductively to the air in front of her, "Come, eat it, I specially refined this for you." After eating it, your spiritual power will greatly increase, and you will be able to cross mountains and rivers, crisscrossing paths, and grow wings on this immortal island, flying freely. Chow Chow knew that this fairy was talking to him. At this time, in his eyes, the fairy was demure like a flower shining on water. It was undoubtedly the most beautiful and elegant scene in the chaotic mortal world. Her beauty was so flawless, so beautiful that it was so otherworldly that it made the world lose its color. She was so beautiful that it was indescribable, giving people a feeling that she was unattainable. The most important thing was that he seemed to see Yen Ran in her body. He couldn't help but open his thin lips, wanting to welcome the grace bestowed by this fairy. He watched as her slender jade hand was about to cross thousands of mountains and rivers and directly send the pill into Qiao Zhao's mouth. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming were still jumping up and down, trying to arouse Qiao Zhao's awareness. He must have been bewitched by something. This place is so strange. Not only is there a formation, but there is also a hallucinogen. The pill had already touched his lips, and Qiao Zhao stretched out his spirit tongue, wanting to suck it into his mouth. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming were stunned at this time, and Qiao Zhao stuck out his tongue with an intoxicated expression. Don't be stupid, right? At this critical moment, Qiao Zhao's phone suddenly vibrated from his pocket. Qiao Zhao suddenly came back to his senses, and the illusion in front of him disappeared. He stretched out his hand, wanting to grab that slender jade hand, but all that was left for him were specks of starlight in the air. Qiao Zhao took out his phone from his pocket and opened it. His eyes suddenly widened. Do you want to die? Seeing that it was Yenran's WeChat, Qiao Zhao suddenly panicked. However, he was currently doing something unspeakable in the middle of the night, so he couldn't make the call. But why would Yenran say this sentence? Soon, the notifications of major news outlets solved his doubts. The overwhelming news had been fermenting on the internet. Qiao Zhao looked at the skyscrapers under his name on Weibo, and they were all questioning whether it was true or not. Wild Summer. Brother Qiao, where is the treasure in your hand? Is it her? My heart is broken beyond words. Rampage Devil. Brother Qiao, has there been a change of person? This is very flirtatious. Look at that belly button ring, it's exciting. Fantasy journey to the west. Is it true or not? Is my brother Qiao not pure? Where did time go? Brother Qiao, is this Huang Hai? I'll fly over to see you immediately. Pomelo blooming. My heart is broken. My brother Qiao should only exist in heaven. Who is worthy of him? Dream of the land. Brother Qiao, isn't 4 hours a little too short? It's at least 4 days and 4 nights. Love beating eggs. Brother Qiao, are you the one who took the initiative or the belly button ring? It looks ordinary. Qi on the door frame. Brother Qiao, I don't believe this is true. How is she worthy of you? Shocked to the end. Brother Qiao, I don't believe this is true. How is she worthy of you +1? Flying in June. Brother Qiao, I don't believe this is true. How is she worthy of you +2? Before Qiao Zhao could take a closer look, Zhang Deong and Jing Shu's calls came in. He hurriedly hung up. At this moment, he couldn't answer them at all. He didn't have much time to stay in this mysterious place. He just gritted his teeth in his heart. This Yi Xuanfei is just looking for trouble. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming saw that Qiao Zhao had finally regained his consciousness. The two of them heaved a sigh of relief, but then they saw Qiao Zhao standing up and preparing to leave. They panicked. Qiao Zhao, where are you going? Have you finished reading the book about the spiritual transformation pill? After being reminded by the two of them, Qiao Zhao finally remembered the purpose of his visit. He was already delirious just now. He looked at his phone and then at the book on the ground. Forget it, I'll apologize to Yen Ran tomorrow. I'll finish my business today. Kong Ming hurriedly reminded him, Qiao Zhao, were you bewitched just now? We couldn't wake you up no matter what. Qiao Zhao finally came to his senses and broke out in a cold sweat. It seemed that this Eastern aristocratic family was full of strange things. He really had to be careful. If he had taken that pill just now, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Qiao Zhao sat down again. After this cross, his mind was no longer affected. Page by page, he put the words and pictures in the book into the space in his mind, waiting for time to digest it slowly. The whole book mainly described the method of making the spiritual transformation pill and the method of making the antidote. At the same time, it emphasized that this kind of pill couldn't be made and used easily. It was more harmful to the cultivator and would block the meridians of the whole body. Even if the cultivator became a normal person, it would reduce the lifespan of the cultivator. The more Qiao Xiao read, the angrier he became. It was simply a tyrannical poison. It even wanted to kill Yanran. It seemed that he had to find the antidote. But he didn't know how to make pills. What could he do? Could it be that he had to force Yi Lao? Qiao Xiao estimated that his level hadn't reached the Saint Void stage yet. If he rashly fell out with Yi Lao, the result wouldn't be good. Alas! Qiao Xiao sighed. It seemed that he had to plan for the long term. After finishing, Qiao Xiao quickly returned the spiritual transformation pill to its original place. Just as he was about to leave the library, he turned back and chanted the incantation. He activated the totem and directly dispelled the small formation in the original circulation formation. Qiao Xiao felt happy. Who asked you to harm people again in the future? And that bullshit alchemy fairy. No matter how beautiful she is, she can't be compared to my Yanran. Then he went back to his room. Everything in the room was the same, except for the door that was constantly being knocked. Brother Qiao, are you asleep? Something happened and I want to discuss it with you. Can you open the door? Chapter 217. Qiao Xiao hurriedly changed into his pajamas, messed up his blanket and messed up his hair. He pretended to be sleepy and opened the door. He covered his mouth and yawned. When he saw Yi Xuanfei's appearance, his eyes almost popped out of their sockets. This woman really dared to wear it. It was a pink silk dress that only reached a little below her thighs. This time, it didn't reveal her belly button, but other than that, there really wasn't anything else. Qiao Xiao slammed the door and said through gritted teeth, "Put on your clothes before you come back." Yi Xuanfei looked at herself and pursed her lips into a smile. She had done it on purpose. It seemed to be effective. She went back to her room and put on a cardigan. She looked at herself in the mirror. Her long legs were perfect, charming and alluring. When Yi Xuanfei knocked on Qiao Xiao's door again, Qiao Xiao finally let her in. The two of them sat on the sofa. Yi Xuanfei looked at Qiao Xiao's sleepy face. He looked harmless, like a kitten that needed to be comforted. She suppressed the desire in her heart and gripped the phone in her hand tightly. She lowered her head like a child who had made a mistake. "I'm sorry, Brother Qiao, we were photographed." But there wasn't any real regret in her words. Instead, there was a trace of joy. Qiao Xiao pretended to have just found out and was still a little confused. What was photographed? Yi Xuanfei took the opportunity to sit beside Qiao Xiao. She leaned closer to him and raised the phone in her right hand in front of Qiao Xiao's eyes while her left hand secretly touched Qiao Xiao's thigh. Qiao Xiao felt disgusted. He pushed Yi Xuanfei's hand away and took the phone. He looked at it carefully and then threw it back to Yi Xuanfei. "I'll get the company to officially refute the rumors. You get Zhoutian Entertainment to do the same." Yi Xuanfei wasn't going to give in so easily. "Brother Qiao, why don't we just make an official announcement?" Qiao Xiao really wanted to give Yi Xuanfei 2 tight slaps. "Official announcement? I only promised you that I would come for an inspection. I'm still considering it. Why are you in such a hurry to make an official announcement?" Qiao Xiao's words were a little harsh. Yi Xuanfei bit her lips and felt a little stifled. She wanted to say something, but Qiao Xiao continued, "We'll see how you perform tomorrow. I don't want to see so many rumors online." After saying that, he went to call Zhang Deong and Jing Shu back. "Yes, it's not the gossip in the news. We met by chance in Huanghai City. I live alone, and we met in the lobby. This reporter is talking nonsense. Hurry up and make an official statement, saying that there's no such thing." Yi Xuanfei listened as Qiao Xiao kept calling to explain himself. The more she listened, the more frustrated she felt. Why did Qiao Xiao not like her? She pouted and sat there gloomily. After making the call, Xiao Xiao turned around and saw that Yi Xuanfei was angry. "Oh no, I can't let all my efforts go to waste." Thus, he walked forward and took the initiative to pull Yi Xuanfei up. He explained to her, "Let me think about it again." Yi Xuanfei threw herself into Xiao Zhao's arms. "Why don't you like me? What's wrong with me?" Xiao Xiao passively accepted the hug. He touched his nose and complained in his heart, "You're not good in any way. You're far inferior to my Yanran." But he could only say, "All right, go back and sleep first. If there's anything else, we can talk about it tomorrow. Girls can't stay up late." Yi Xuanfei finally hugged her Prince Charming. How could she let go so easily? She hugged him tightly and rubbed against Xiao Zhao's chest. Xiao Xiao was anxious. He still had to explain to Yanran. This clingy girl was not easy to get rid of. He simply carried Yi Xuanfei back to her room and placed her on the big bed. Under Yi Xuanfei's dazed and expectant gaze, he straightened his body and closed the door behind him. After Xiao Xiao returned to his room, he took a shower and washed away all of Yi Xuanfei's touch on his body. It was really hard on himself. He had to infiltrate the enemy's inner circle and sacrifice his body. Now, he was even misunderstood by Yanran. He thought of that sentence, "Do you want to die?" He felt terrible all over. He regretted it so much that he wanted to die. This time, he didn't find anything and he didn't want to stay any longer. He wanted to fly back to Yanran immediately and explain himself properly. He turned on his phone and wanted to book a flight for tomorrow morning. But when he saw that there were only afternoon flights left, he had no choice but to wait. The next morning, in a huge office, the email box was opened. An email signed by an ordinary member of the cultivation cohort was listed on it. It was sent in through a special channel and the content was shocking. The owner of the office was about 40 years old. He had a bright and mature face with sharp and cold features. His thick eyebrows were slightly raised and under his long and slightly curled eyelashes were dark and deep eyes. He exuded the charm of a mature man. At this moment, he had been staring at this email for a full hour. The crime in this email was enough to catch someone and kill them 100 times. He knew everything clearly because he was the one who ordered old Master Yi of the Eastern aristocratic family to do it. He was Zhou Jiutian, the current leader of the cultivation cohort. He was a heavyweight and others respectfully called him Minister Zhou. After so many years of cultivating an honest image, he successfully became the manager of the cultivation cohort. When he had this secret weapon, he realized that the size of his dream was the same as the size of the world. Among the 4 aristocratic families in the East, South, and West, only the aristocratic families in the East and South were influential in the entire cultivation cohort. The aristocratic families in the West and North had long declined over the years. As the bridge between the cultivation cohort and the country, he was very important. One word from him could make the cultivation cohort ascend to heaven or destroy it. This was an existence that threatened the government. It was impossible to tolerate them becoming stronger and stronger. They could only abide by their own duties and coexist peacefully under the protection of the country, doing their part well. Since he removed the original leader, Minister Tian, from his position and took over, he had done a lot of good deeds and received a lot of praise from his superiors. However, spiritual praise could not satisfy his desire for material things. He kept putting pressure on the aristocratic families in the South and East, asking them to help him achieve some unspeakable goals. As a result, his official career was smooth sailing and he rose to the top. When he was still a deputy, one day, the aristocratic family in the East sent him an agreement to hold shares and a foreign bank account. He looked at the growing wealth in it and smiled knowingly. Since that day, he no longer hid his ambition. His appetite gradually increased. However, there were many people who stood in his way. For example, there were aristocratic families in the South and aristocratic families in the East who could help him reach the top. Which was more important? Which was closer? In his heart, the balance had already tilted. Previously, the Golden Age incident was a task given by his immediate superior, Department Head Tian. It was because of the failure of this mission that he rightfully replaced his original superior, Department Head Tian. From then on, he covered the sky with one hand in the cultivation world. He picked up the phone and dialed a secret line. The phone rang once and was picked up. "Sir, what instructions do you have?" Elder Ye's voice sounded respectfully from the phone. "Your secret is about to be exposed by others. Don't you realize it yourself?" Elder Ye's cold words were transmitted through the phone. Elder Yi was shocked. He had never heard Shangfeng speak to him in such a tone. "Shangfeng, may I ask what happened? What made you so angry?" "You did the thing with the pharmaceutical company, right? You borrowed 10 billion and ran away. Someone has reported you to me. All the facts and means of the crime are clear. Do you want me to read it to you?" Elder Yi broke out in a cold sweat when he heard this, but he was still struggling. "Sir, didn't you ask me to do this? Didn't you urgently need money to go overseas? I can't do anything about it. The goal was set by me, but your means of doing things are too low. It was seen through so quickly. I'm starting to doubt your ability to do things. If you can't do it, I can still replace you." The powerful words hit old Mr. Ye's head one by one, making him dizzy. "Boss, don't worry. Can you tell me who reported it? I'll go and deal with it quickly." "If I knew, would I still look for you? There must be a mole among you. Hurry up and investigate. If you don't give me an explanation for this matter, you don't need to be an elder of the cultivation cohort anymore." Elder Yi kept wiping his sweat. This was a cooperation with Yu Tian at the time. Mr. Yu is not from the cultivation cohort. Could it be that he leaked it? I don't care if you are Mr. Lu or Mr. Ma. I'm just telling you that you must not leave any trouble for me in the future. All the people who know about it must be silenced. Also, think of a way to quickly transfer the money to my overseas account. The longer I stay in the country, the more danger I will be in. Yes, I understand. Sir, don't worry. I'll do it immediately." After Elder Yi hung up, he immediately got someone to inform Yu Tian. It was an urgent matter and they had to discuss it quickly. Qiao Xiao couldn't sleep well at Yi Xuanfei's house. He didn't feel at ease either. He woke up early in the morning and when he opened the door, he heard Yi Xuanfei talking to someone in her room. Qiao Xiao listened carefully and heard Yi Xuanfei scolding the servant in her room. "You can't do anything well. What do I need you for? Go to your room and kneel. You're not allowed to eat lunch. Kneel until dinner." At this moment, Yi Xuanfei's eyes were wide open and her face was ferocious. She was as ugly as a witch. F***CK. So this is how you treat servants. Eldest Mrs. Temper is exposed. She really thinks she's a princess. Even I, the crown prince, wouldn't torture servants like this. When Yi Xuanfei heard the door open, she immediately pounced on Qiao Xiao happily like a little bird. Her expression changed 360 degrees. The sweet brother Qiao was already calling out to her. The servant in the room quickly stood up and rushed out while covering her face. Qiao Xiao saw the obvious finger marks on her face. Yi Xuanfei held onto his arm the moment she came up. "Brother Qiao, I've been waiting for you. Let's go and have breakfast together." Qiao Xiao directly said to her, "I booked a flight in the afternoon." Yi Xuanfei was stunned. "Why are you leaving so quickly?" "I have a lot of programs planned for today. Such a big thing has happened. I have to hurry back." Qiao Xiao kept walking downstairs and said without turning back. Yi Xuanfei quickly caught up and said hurriedly, "I've already arranged for someone to deal with it. I guarantee that it will be as if nothing happened online." Qiao Xiao ignored her. From the stairs, he could see that breakfast was already prepared on the first floor. Qiao Xiao went downstairs directly, but when he turned the corner on the second floor, he saw two familiar figures going upstairs. At first, he couldn't recall who they were. It wasn't until he reached the first floor and picked up his chopsticks that he remembered. These two people were the culprits who caused him to not be able to see Yen Ran for 2 years. Yu Tian and Mr. Lu. Chapter 218. Qiao Xiao asked Yi Xuanfei casually, "Who were those two people?" Yi Xuanfei was still thinking about Qiao Zhao's departure. She replied absent-mindedly, "Grandpa's friends." Qiao Xiao knew what was going on. After breakfast, he asked Yi Xuanfei to send him back to the hotel. Yi Xuanfei stayed in Qiao Zhao's room and refused to leave. Qiao Xiao said, "If you don't leave, I won't even consider it." Yi Xuanfei couldn't bear to leave, but she couldn't do anything when she saw Qiao Zhao's determined gaze. Before she left, she hugged Qiao Xiao tightly and whispered in his ear, "I'll be an exchange student next semester. I can go to school with you." Qiao Xiao was stunned when he heard this. He thought to himself, "She's really haunting me." After Yi Xuanfei left, he immediately disguised himself and took a taxi back to the Yi family's gate. He asked the driver to wait for the two people who had harmed him to come out. The driver looked at Qiao Xiao and saw that only his eyes were visible. His head was wrapped tightly with a scarf. "Brother, are you going to do something bad? Don't drag me down with you." Qiao Xiao touched his nose. Was it that obvious? He threw him 1,000 yuan. "I won't do anything bad. I'll get off when we reach the destination." In the end, he and the driver waited for almost an hour before the two people finally came out. Old Master Yi personally sent them out. It was obvious that he valued them. The two of them got into the car and drove towards the city. Qiao Xiao immediately asked the driver to follow them from afar. What a coincidence. The two of them were staying in the same hotel as Qiao Xiao. They came back after making a detour. Qiao Xiao pulled down his scarf at the front desk and revealed his charming smile. He asked the girl at the front desk, "Those two people are my friends. I want to give them a surprise. Can you tell me which room they're staying in?" The girl looked up and was stunned. A scream rang through the hall. Everyone looked in the direction of the sound. Qiao Xiao was shocked. He quickly reached out to cover her mouth. The girl had already covered her mouth and stamped her feet with a red face. "Qiao Xiao, you're Qiao Xiao." Qiao Zhao's forehead dripped with cold sweat. So she was his fan. He repeated his question. He blinked his right eye and gave her a flirtatious look. The girl seemed to have been pressed. She quickly searched on the computer. Her mouth like a machine gun, she spouted out all the information about the two. After that, she asked with a red face, "Can I have your autograph?" Qiao Xiao got the answer and was in a good mood. Of course, with a stroke of the pen, the two words Qiao Xiao were written in the little girl's notebook. Qiao Xiao put his right hand to his forehead and saluted the girl. He turned to leave. He didn't expect the girl to grab him. She asked him another question, "Is what the internet said true?" Qiao Xiao touched his nose. "Of course not. My treasure is waiting for me at home." He didn't look at the girl's heartbroken reaction. He went straight to the elevator. Qiao Xiao rearmed himself to make sure that he couldn't recognize himself. Then, he knocked on the door of Yu Tian's room and called for room service. When the door opened, Qiao Xiao rushed in. Without saying anything, he started to fight. Mr. Lu happened to be in Yu Tian's room as well. Qiao Xiao didn't have to do anything. The two of them fought together. The two of them were beaten until they were wailing like ghosts and howling like wolves. They didn't know what was going on. At first, they were still asking, "Who are you? Why are you beating us?" In the end, they couldn't even speak. How powerful was Qiao Zhao's fists that were infused with demonic qi? A single punch could take away half of their lives. Qiao Xiao was even more merciless. He directly hit the two of them with his magical power. Qiao Xiao picked the places that wouldn't hurt their lives: eyes, nose, waist, stomach, and knees. However, these places hurt the most. Yu Tian and Mr. Lu were beaten to the point that they couldn't even beg for mercy. Their faces were covered in blood and their eyes were purple. Soon, The two of them were lying on the ground. There wasn't a spot on their bodies that wasn't injured. After beating them up, Qiao Xiao felt refreshed. However, he couldn't get rid of the pain of being locked up for 2 years. However, he knew that he couldn't beat them anymore. If he beat them up again, they would die. He glared at the two of them one last time and took a photo of them looking like dead dogs. Then, he left the hotel and got on the plane back to Nanchuan City. Zhang Deong and Jing Shu were very supportive. They released a statement overnight. The statement mainly expressed 3 points. First, Qiao Xiao and the woman in the video had met by chance at the hotel. Second, Qiao Xiao and her had nothing to do with each other. They just knew each other. Third, they condemned the person who made up the video and would use legal means to protect themselves. Yi Xuanfei also asked Zhouqian Entertainment to suppress the video early in the morning. Soon, the huge waves became small waves. Although the netizens were skeptical, to Qiao Xiao, this matter wasn't over. He still had to go through Yanran. The moment he got off the plane, he rushed to Yanran's house. However, he didn't expect that Yanran wasn't at home. She was on a business trip and would only be back at night. Qiao Xiao had no choice but to go home first. He sent a WeChat message to Yanran. It was a naughty photo. "Darling, I'm back. Come to my house when you're back. I'll kneel on the washboard for you." Yanran directly replied to him with a humph. Qiao Xiao was still angry after reading the message. He went home and washed up. Then, he stood outside Yanran's house and waited. Indeed, when it was past 8 p.m., he saw Yanran dragging her luggage alone. He rushed forward and carried Yanran. He spun around on the spot. Then, before Yanran could react, he stuffed her and her luggage into his car and asked the driver to quickly drive to his house. Yanran was about to say something when she saw Qiao Xiao put his index finger to his lips and shushed her. He pointed at the driver in front and made a gesture of kneeling on the washboard with a bitter face. Yanran snorted. She was amused by him. Then, she put on a straight face and ignored him. Qiao Xiao hugged her like that. He couldn't do anything in the presence of outsiders. However, Qiao Xiao had already thought of a plan to make Yanran forgive him. Even if he had to sacrifice himself, he couldn't let Yanran mind at all. After getting out of the car, Qiao Xiao carried Yanran back to his room like a gust of wind. Once the door was closed, Qiao Xiao put Yanran on the sofa. He plopped down on Yanran's knees. He blinked his big wet eyes and raised his right hand. "Yanran, I was wrong. Hit me." Yanran didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She put on a straight face. "What were you wrong about?" "I shouldn't have lied to you. I shouldn't have not told you what I was doing." Speaking of this, Yanran was really a little angry. "Why did you go look for Yi Xuanfei?" I wanted to go. I wanted to find the antidote for the spiritual transformation pill, but I couldn't find it." Qiao Xiao lowered his head in shame. Yanran didn't expect such an answer. She looked into Qiao Xiao's eyes. They were sincere, but there was also a trace of guilt and worry. She bent down and held Qiao Xiao's face with her hands. "And then, you used the honey trap?" Cough, cough. "No, Yanran." He quickly swore. "I'm a virgin. I definitely didn't use the honey trap. If you don't believe me, you can check." With that, he took the initiative to take off his clothes. Yanran pressed him down and hugged his head. She said in a muffled voice, "Don't do this kind of thing in the future. It's too dangerous." "No, Yanran. Although I didn't find the antidote this time, I know that this spiritual transformation pill is harmful to the body. It will reduce your lifespan. I must find a way to help you find it," Qiao Xiao said in rapid succession. "They're too powerful. You can't fight them alone." Yanran calmly stated this fact. "I have to fight even if I can't. Yanran, you used to protect me. Now, it's my turn to protect you." Qiao Xiao had said this sentence more than once. She didn't think that he would not only say it, but also actually do it. Yanran's heart was moved. She pulled Qiao Xiao up. "Tell me in detail. What's the situation now? Xiao Xiao told Yanran about his experience this time. The more Yanran listened, the more scared she became. Her expression was serious. She didn't think that the cultivation world had already turned them into a tool to amass wealth. There must be something wrong with their pills. She was wondering why so many cultivators were willing to be bewitched by them. Moreover, the speed of their advancement was so fast. It was really shocking. I guessed the same. They have a 4-story pill factory that is constantly producing pills every day. I don't even know what kind of pills they're producing. They tried to give me a pill. I almost fell for their trick. Fortunately, I pretended that I wasn't used to it and threw it up. Xiao Xiao patted his chest and showed off to Yanran. Yanran heard Xiao Xiao say it casually, but she knew that the danger was not small. She didn't want to lose Xiao Xiao or let Xiao Xiao be harmed by them. Also, Yanran, this time you must praise me. I helped us get revenge. Xiao Xiao proudly took out his phone. Look, do you still recognize these two people? In Xiao Xiao's phone, there were 2 unrecognizable figures lying on the floor of the hotel room. Their faces were covered in blood, and their bodies were curled up. They looked like they were in great pain. However, the outline of their faces was vaguely familiar. Yanran said uncertainly, "Did you beat them up? Who are these 2 people? Could it be?" Yanran couldn't believe it and instantly became excited. Xiao Xiao opened his big bright eyes and gritted his teeth. Yes, they are the 2 people we followed last time. They are also the culprits who caused me to be separated from you for nearly 2 years. Yanran suddenly stood up from the sofa and excitedly hugged Xiao Xiao's face. She kissed him fiercely. Xiao Xiao, you are really my lucky star. Tell me, where are they now? Xiao Xiao was dizzy from the sudden kiss. His Yanran had never been so proactive. His eyes were round, and his face was red with excitement. They should still be unconscious in the hotel. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.